Chapter 51. God King Odin. Odin, who was in Asgard, was stunned. Ancient One? Ancient One magician. With his response, the Ancient One's voice sounded again. I think I've found a way to keep Asgard alive. Odin was delighted and then sighed. Are you talking about Thor? The gods of Asgard are older. The stronger the physical energy, the stronger the strength, the heavier the burden on the body will be. Sooner or later there comes a time when it becomes unbearable. That's what Odin is. At the moment, he possesses the strength. Even the Ancient One has to be ashamed. If Odin wants to fight hard, he has this confidence now. Regardless of one's own ability to withstand it, all power is unleashed. He can defeat anyone. But he was unwilling to do so. Asgard has no successor. In Queen Frigga's prophecy, after his death, Ragnarok is coming. So he can't die. He could only rely on deep sleep to prolong his death. In Queen Frigga's prophecy, Thor is the hope of Asgard. It seemed the same to him. Thor has far more potential than he does. As long as Thor understands what it means to be a king, he will die with no regrets. Pity Prince Thor is indeed the future of Asgard. But that's until the future changes. God King, there are changes in the future. Being transformed by a magical man. I found ways to strengthen my body in him. As long as the body of the God King is strong enough, the growing energy is no longer a limitation. The Ancient One left. Draw a portal at random. Step inside and disappear through the door. Decompose this door. Everyone finally breathed a deep sigh of relief. Although the figure was thin, still wearing a soft smile. Don't know why. They just feel oppressive. I feel like looking directly at that figure. It's like looking directly into a fixed star. Look directly at a Mephisto. It's hard for them to breathe. Frank shook his head and smiled bitterly. As expected of the Sorcerer Supreme. Mr. Ron's words can hold all of our existence with one finger. Incredibly powerful. Speaking of this, he couldn't help but look at Tony Stark. His eyes were full of surprise and admiration. The one who shocked me the most was Mr. Stark. Facing the Ancient One magician, I don't even dare to breathe. How dare Mr. Stark make a joke? None of this is awesome. This is a great competition. Tell Ancient One magician that we are not suitable? They would never dream of saying such a thing. Tony smiled and said nothing. Will he tell you that his back is covered in cold sweat? While operating the decomposition machine to decompose the king's monk robe. While thinking about the Ancient One's words in his mind. Pepper Potts? My destined woman? Think of that figure. It was not a pretty face, it had freckles on it. Tony felt the throbbing in his heart. Time gem, travel time. In the future as seen by the Ancient One magician. Am I with Pepper? Decomposition successful. The king's magic experience *1. Perseverance infirm will *1. Broken colorless small crystal block *1. Weak soul *1. Extract or not? Extract. Mr. Ron, I have to go back first. A sudden light curtain brought Tony back to his senses. Grab the rewards of decomposition. Can't wait to leave. He wants to go back and see Pepper. Aren't you going to absorb it first? Ron pointed to the reward in his hand. No matter what you want to do, this is the moment. It will be good for you after absorbing it. I think you also want to face the future intact and healthy, right? Tony was stunned, then nodded. That's right. He clapped his hands fiercely. 4 groups of light surged into his body. Hiss. Ah! Tony yelled. The heartbreaking pain reminded him of the day he was hit by a bomb. No. It hurts far more than that day. It doesn't just hurt. There is also the numbness and itch coming from deep within the bone marrow. Especially the upper body and chest. Tony tore his shirt into pieces. In the shocked eyes of everyone, Tony's heart beat violently. Beat after wave. The shock caused the miniature arc reactor to fall off his chest. Jingling bells rolling on the ground. Then the big hole in his chest healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Bah! Bah! The shrapnel was squeezed out one by one. Fall through the shrinking hole. As the body heals, the pain receded like a tide. Tony was stunned, because suddenly there were many memories in his mind that did not belong to him. But these memories were as if he had experienced them before. Deeply engraved in my mind. Let him never forget it even if he wants to. And these memories are, magic. Is Kamartaj second only to the Sorcerer Supreme, the Librarian, the King of Magic? His brain, cursed by knowledge, crazily absorbed this knowledge. For a moment, countless fantastic ideas came to his mind. Bang! A water balloon hit him on the head. Ron pulled back. I was in a hurry to go back just now. That knowledge can't be lost in your mind. It's not too late to go back and study. Tony. It's you who keeps me from rushing back. It's you who told me to hurry back. You have all the good things to say. However, when Tony left the dismantling shop, perception ability brought about by increased strength. Suddenly, he noticed that countless eyes were focused on the door of the store. I feel happy in my heart. Fortunately, it was integrated. Otherwise, no one would dare to hurt him in this situation. But there will definitely be people who want what he has in his hands. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. It's not that I don't want to update them all at once, but I can't do it. If I update too much at once, the update list will not be refreshed, which will cause Yanzu to not be able to find it. There is really no way. Finally, I am really grateful for always supporters. Chapter 52. Meanwhile, across the Hudson River in New York, New Jersey. The sky is clear and the sun is shining brightly. A colorful beam of light suddenly fell from the sky. Not betraying anyone at all. I'm afraid that others won't find out. Landed with a bang. A huge amount of crater was smashed out. In the pit, a hammer-shaped object stood in the center. Obviously, this big hole was created by it. At the same time, Fifth Avenue, Manhattan. A colorful beam of light hit the door of Ron's shop. This posture. Afraid that others would not know his purpose. Sitting at the counter. Ron, who was facing the door, took in all this scene. Bifrost? My door? What is this old boy Odin doing? Ron frowned slightly. Then I thought about it. Ancient One. That's right. Only after the Ancient One found out about his shop. Only ability contacted Odin immediately. But Odin came in person? Wait until the light beam disappears. A tall man with blonde hair and 2 meters tall appeared at the door of the store. Dad. You can't do this to me. Isn't it the throne? I can give it to Loki. Why did you take away my divine power? I don't need the throne, I don't need any experience. I want to fight for Asgard. Dad. Dad. After Thor shouted. No response at all. Ignore the side glances from people around him. He called out to Heimdall instead. Heimdall. I know you can see it, take me back quickly. No one else in the store could hear the shouting outside the door. Ron heard it clearly. Good guy. I'm such a good guy. No cover-up at all. Did you come to me blatantly? Experience? What a waste of experience. Is there such a clear purpose for the experience? Ron still doesn't understand what Odin means. Now that I know from the Ancient One that Ron has no ill intentions. It even helps improve strength. That's all right. Just think of any name and drive Thor away. Originally, it was Odin who lent Loki's hand to help Thor understand. Good now. I'm too lazy to make up the reasons. A direct experience. Just throw the heir of Asgard over. Thor shouted to the sky for a long time. But there was no reaction at all. See no response. Good. Then he will find a way to go back by himself. Get a spaceship, don't believe it can't fly Asgard. But the first priority is to figure out where this is. He looked around. Well, high-rise buildings. The car still burns oil. A place where technology is very backward. I don't know if there are any spaceships in this place. Thor's nose twitched. It smells so good. I just wanted to run to the place where the fragrance came from. Suddenly an inexplicable guidance stopped him in his tracks. He looked up at the store in front of him. Breakdown shop? What a weird name. But why did it make me want to go in and take a look? Ron. He was speechless now. If Odin hadn't interfered, Ron would have eaten Mjolnir. It was clear that Thor was about to turn around and leave just now. Bang. Open the door. So many people. Thor was startled. But I didn't care. Just a little more. There were more people on the battlefield where he fought. Not all of them fell under his meow hammer. Thinking of this, Thor shook his hand. Missing his meow hammer. Who's the boss? Excuse me, where is this? Do you have a spaceship here? Everyone. Ron. Buy a spaceship? Why don't you say buy a planet? Looking at Thor, he looked like he was the boss of the world. His face darkened. Odin, this old boy, is a father who failed to educate his children well. Instead, it's Thor's fault that he doesn't understand anything. Turn around and throw it to the earth for him to realize. Then the Crown Prince War takes place on Earth. He is reaping the greatest benefits. Do you really think it's time for the Ancient One to die? Who still spoils you? He knew Odin must be paying attention to this place. The store restrictions were simply lifted. Expose the store to the outside world. Ron looked around. Matt, go beat him up. Frank didn't do it lightly or harshly. Daredevil Matt is more suitable. Ron's words didn't go behind Thor's back. Thor raised his hand and shouted at Ron. Beat me. Do you know who I am? I am Thor. It's so noisy. Ron frowned slightly and looked at Peter. Stop letting him scream, shut his mouth. Little Spider-Man nodded and raised his hand. A wad of cobweb landed precisely on Thor's mouth. Thor was about to reach out and pull it off. Matt stood still. Appear before him. So fast. Thor was shocked. Just about to fight back. A stick appeared in Matt's hand. The snap hit my elbow and gave me numbness. Thor's right arm trembled. Hanging down weakly. Matt twirled the stick in his hand. Take Thor's right arm. The figure turned and appeared behind Thor. A strong wind is coming. Thor felt his anus tighten. Bang. Got kicked. He staggered forward 2 steps. Bang. Another kick in the leg socket. For an ordinary person, this kick would require him to kneel down. But Thor's legs just weakened and he stumbled forward uncontrollably again. This also has something to do with Matt's lack of effort. Matt followed. Raising his hand, he grabbed Thor's left hand that swung back as he rushed forward. Take Thor's hands. There was a bang sound. He pushed Thor against the counter. Wait until Thor comes to his senses. What caught his eye was Ron's impatient face. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 53. Bang. What are you looking at? Call me daddy. Tear the cobweb off Thor's mouth. Ron slapped Thor on the head. You yell when you come in, do you know this is my territory? Thor. Ancient One. Odin, Frigga. 3 eyes facing each other. Frigga, what do you mean? Is this the experience you're talking about? Are you looking for a stepfather for Thor? How? Are you going to die? Have you found a candidate for me to remarry? Let Thor take the front position first. Have a good relationship with your stepfather? Odin, listen to me. Frigga, don't listen. The smile on Ancient One's face also froze. I didn't realize that Ron had this side before we met. She and Frigga are also friends. How could she explain this to Frigga? Thor was stunned. Call me daddy? My mother didn't tell me that I wasn't my father's biological child, right? Is it possible that their generation has something hidden? Am I not the son of Odin? Otherwise, why would my father throw me down without saying a word? He also sealed my divine power. And it landed just in front of the store. What a coincidence, this store has an inexplicable attraction for him. Could it be that his father just asked him to come to find his biological father? The more Thor thought about it, the more something was wrong. The more I think about it, the more I wonder if this is really his father. Then, are you really my father? Well, I'm a little confused. Wait until I go back and ask my mother. Ancient One. Odin, Frigga. Ron. Ancient One is really speechless. In the future she had seen before. I didn't realize Thor was that stupid either. Is this really suitable for being a god king? Odin? Frigga, what's that look in your eyes? You know how to fight and fight all day long, otherwise you will show off the majesty of your god king. Have you ever taken care of your children? Etc. You don't doubt me, do you? He has black hair and black eyes, Thor has blonde hair and blue eyes. Thor's pure god bloodline. You doubt me? Odin, haha, how is it possible? Absolutely not. Frigga, go and enter the sleep of Odin. I get annoyed when I see you. Ron knocked Thor on the head. Are you okay? You weren't fooled by him just now, were you? No effort. He looked at Thor confused. Do you think I should be your father? Thor nodded, then shook his head. I don't know, I have to ask my mother about this. Ron. What is speechless? That's it. How did Odin educate himself? Not even sure who your father is? This is not because he wants to take advantage of Frigga. He originally wanted to be Thor's brother-in-law. But I never thought about becoming a thief. Snapped. One slap down. Ron pointed at him and then at himself. You see clearly. I have black hair, black eyes, and yellow skin. You have blonde hair, blue eyes, and fair skin. Do you think I might be your father? I'm worried about your sister's generation gap. Still your father? I'm not interested in your mother. Thor stared at Ron thoughtfully for a moment. Well, I think. Is it possible that I look like my mother? Ron just smiled with satisfaction, then froze. Thor counted on his fingers. Look, my father is tall, hey. As he spoke, he made some gestures. Well, to his chest. My father has a round face, but I don't. My father is the master of war, fury, wisdom, and kingship. I am the god of thunder. Do you think it's possible to have the appearance and ability of my mother? And just when I was at the door, I felt an inexplicable attraction to you. It makes me want to come in. His is a well-founded analysis. Silenced everyone. Great filial piety. The father resigns and the son laughs. And Matt had already loosened his grip on Thor at this time. Mr. Ron's son. That's okay. Fortunately, I didn't make a heavy move just now. Professor X couldn't bear it any longer. Thor, if I remember correctly, is the son of Odin, right? Thor nodded at him. Yes, but things may have changed now. Ron couldn't bear it anymore. He shouted to the sky dumbfounded. You saw it, it's not my fault. Ha ha ha. Odin, you are an old boy, you can't even educate children well. The child is not even sure whether he is your biological child. You say you are an incompetent father. Ha 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 ha. After speaking, Ron laughed out loud. Even though I know it's wrong. But I really can't help it. The face is round, he is so tall, ha ha ha. Odin, I'm asleep, don't call me. Am I wrong? Thor blinked in confusion. You're absolutely right. Ron patted him on the shoulder. But I want to be your brother-in-law even more. Brother-in-law? I don't have a sister. Thor also reacted at this time. It seems that he was tricked by Ron. But what Ron just said. Make him realize it too. Ron is a boss on the same level as Odin. Ron, you're overthinking it. It's okay inside the store, but outside the store. Haha. Thor wasn't bothered by Ron's teasing either. A boss on the same level as God King Odin, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have him as a godfather. Brother-in-law is better, or a peer. If you say he is a brother-in-law, then he is a brother-in-law. Well, brother-in-law, can you send me back to Asgard? P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 54. Brother-in-law? Odin's heart moved. It doesn't seem impossible. He had a headache just thinking about Hela. It's all because he was so murderous when he was young. Taking Hela askew. Later, I didn't know if my brain was suffering from seizures. Gave the power of death to Hela. Originally he was also in charge of death and thunder. Thunder was given to Thor. It's just that Thor isn't completely in control yet. The power of death was given to Hela. Hela also controls the underworld of the gods. His strength is almost as strong as his. If he hadn't been the God King now. Rely on the royal power to control the 9 realms. Hela escaped early and ran out, knocking Asgard over. Ron, a mysterious and strong man, was eager to become his son-in-law. To him it was just awesome. Even if it's a joke. Odin also has to find a way to make it real. Someone can calm Hela down. Better than causing Ragnarok, right? As long as Asgard remains. You can choose any dowry. Decompose the store. Thor made everyone present gain knowledge. Is this the legendary Thor? Isn't this a fool? But they just think about it. After all, this is just the second Tony Stark. Same second generation. One is the rich second generation, and the other is the second generation god. They just have different shortcomings. But for them, Thor has a mythical and legendary filter. The legendary Thor is so wise and powerful. All battles are invincible and all attacks are invincible, and the enemy is frightened by the news. Now, the filter is broken so suddenly. It was difficult for them to accept it for a while. Jingle bell. Phil Coulson's phone rings. He glanced at everyone present. Phil Coulson was very clever and did not betray anyone. Pick it up directly in front of everyone. What? A meteorite fell from the sky in New Jersey. It's not a meteorite, it's a hammer. Send me the picture. The phone hangs up. A picture was sent to his phone. Click to view. Inside the huge crater. It is indeed a hammer. When Thor heard the hammer, he moved closer. He stretched his neck and poked his head over. After seeing clearly what is on the picture. Immediately overjoyed. Hammer. It's my hammer. Where is she now, she? Phil Coulson blinked. Fellow-minded people. Thor loves his hammer as much as he loves his car. In New Jersey, it's not that far away. Thor grabbed Phil Coulson. Take me there quickly. Made eye contact with Nick Fury. Nick, promise him. Phil Coulson, got it. As a confidant. One look tells you what Nick means. This is the Crown Prince who is here to practice. Definitely have a good relationship. Know the crisis of the Earth. Now Nick Fury can still stand here safely. Purely because of Ron and the disintegrator. Otherwise, he would have gone back and contacted Carol. Watching Phil Coulson leave with Thor. Ron winked at Frank. Aren't you going to take a look? The legendary Mjolnir, the artifact. Frank was stunned. Blink? Artifact? His eyes suddenly widened. Break down. Decompose the artifact? Oh yes, yes. Mr. Ron, you are right. This is a legendary artifact, I really want to see it. With that said, he called Matt and the other three. Followed directly. And the rest of the people are not fools. Ron reminded. Most of them understood the meaning of the words. Mr. Ron, we also want to go see him. That's right, Mr. Ron, let's not disturb you for now. Mr. Ron, wait for me to break it down with my hammer. Break down Mjolnir? Is that what I mean? I don't mean the destroyer is coming next. That was forged by Odin gathering the gods. Put on the rear hard steel tension set. Never mind. I wish you could actually bring Mjolnir. Just in time to see if we can create another Thor after breaking it down. I'm afraid Odin won't let me. New Jersey. The large meteorite crater was currently surrounded by a group of people. Sloan, what the hell is this? Firefox frowned slightly and looked at the old black man beside him. The old black man also looked puzzled. Damn FK. You ask me who I ask? He cursed secretly in his heart but remained calm on the outside. This thing suddenly fell from the sky. It happened to fall next to their mutual aid club. Their people also happened to see the entire falling process. Colorful light beams reached the sky and the earth. Such a shocking beam of light was just to give away such a hammer. You can imagine the importance of the hammer. They wanted to take the hammer away at the first opportunity. But damn, that hammer has taken root. If no one can pick it up, forget it. You can't even pull it with a car. Even the land below seems to be one with it. Sloan, someone is coming. Fox glanced into the distance inadvertently. Suddenly I saw a large number of people walking towards here. She suddenly frowned. Damn it. The leader is Magneto. Wait. He has Professor X with him. Sloan, those are a bunch of mutants. Fox. The defenders are here too. Fox immediately panicked. What's the situation? Why did so many people come suddenly? And they all get together. Stop talking about mutants. Only the 4 defenders can defeat them together. They're in New Jersey. Across the river from New York. From time to time, I go to New York to perform a mission and have my fate judged. The strength of the 4 defenders has grown by leaps and bounds. It has long been recorded in their information files. And among them, Frank was also on the ruling list. But because Frank's strength has improved by leaps and bounds recently, people in mutual aid associations, no matter how much they have faith, no one mentioned that Frank was to be adjudicated. Fake. Hulk. Damn it. One of the Hulks is there too. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 55. No need to say Fox. The other members of the Mutual Aid Association also noticed the visitor. I think we should withdraw. This is a killer organization. Can't see the light. If we don't withdraw and have a face-to-face meeting, everything about him will be exposed. Be remembered by these people. Isn't it equivalent to knowing everything about the underground world? I'll kill you in the future. Just change your career. Sloane just hesitated, glancing at the hammer. No matter how good something is, it must be taken with a life. Besides, they couldn't pick it up at all. Thinking of this, he ordered decisively. Withdraw. If he didn't give the order, everyone else would be ready to run away. If you really want to fight with Magneto and the others, you will die. Who would listen to him if he was told to die? While Magneto and others are still hundreds of meters away. The group from the Mutual Aid Association got in the car and left directly. But it didn't go very far. I found a location that felt safe. Stopped the car and started watching. Magneto didn't take them seriously at all. All carrying guns. But obviously there is no extraordinary person. It poses no threat to them at all. As for why it is so certain. Do you really think that the detector is just a piece of cake? The light curtain opened. All the equipment on your body is invisible. At a glance. Just know what level you are. A group of people mostly dressed in white. At most, he only has blue equipment. Occasionally, he has a green equipment. What kind of master can he be? At best, he's about the same as Natasha Romanoff before strengthening. Phil Coulson said something subconsciously. This thing is really convenient. You can tell your strength at a glance. All white people are ordinary people. The one with blue color obviously has a skill. This length is not ordinary. That's very long. The shooters are all sharpshooters. In fighting, you have to be a professional in at least one field. Green, that's top talent. Like Frank before strengthening, Natasha Romanoff. But they are only green at best. To be completely green, you have to be an extraordinary person to have it. And purple. At least he is a strong person in the extraordinary world. The lowest is planet level. Here's their summary of gear levels. And they also discovered something. There is a difference between the equipment above purple. There are light purple, dark purple, and bright purple. To put it bluntly, even purple equipment is divided into upper, middle, and lower levels. As for pink, they don't know. After all, I've only seen one. Or the clothes on Ancient One. Who dares to steal that thing? I'm afraid if you hadn't just understood the idea, you would be gone. The Ancient One can see the future. Hear the words of Phil Coulson. Natasha Romanoff glanced at him. He nodded in agreement. But as a top agent, the awareness of safety still made her aware of the defect of the detector. Don't be too trusting either. If the equipment is used for too short a time, the detected level may be low. Yeah, that makes sense. Phil Coulson nodded with deep understanding. Come to the edge of the big pit. Thor just yelled. Mjolnir. Juggernaut scratched his head. What did he say? Mjolnir. Hate, idiot, it's Mjolnir. Juggernaut looked back with a hateful glare. If you're not in Mr. Ron's shop now, if you mock me again, don't think I dare not beat you. Haha, beat me up. Abomination grinned. The fishy breath immediately caused a vacuum circle to appear around him. What a dead smell. Frank covered his nose and stepped back 10 meters. Shouted in a muffled voice. Fake. Hateful. If you don't brush your teeth again, I will gag you one day. Stinks worse than our toilet that hasn't been flushed for a year. He glared with hatred and cruelty. Just about to get angry. After seeing the speaker clearly, I felt a cool breeze blowing under my crotch. No more suppression from the decomposition shop. Only Frank could manage to regain his composure. There is no way, the name of Blaster has already resounded throughout the New York underground world. He is the victim. The psychological shadow is at least as big as the entire New York City. Moreover, Frank's strength has improved. He can feel it. Frank can break through Hulk's defenses without Hulk's help. I can't even beat him in a duel. Damn, this guy is always picking on Kunkin to do evil things. This NM is going to give me a dir. But is it too embarrassing to just give in? He thinks too much. No one feels embarrassed about him. After all, no one wants to mess with Frank the Kun Exploder. Juggernaut is afraid of 8 points, well, not 3 points. 3 points can't reflect the panic in his balls. Hatred felt a little embarrassed. I was about to say a few harsh words. There was a sudden shout from the pit over there. No. Thor collapsed. Don't bother arguing. Everyone walked up. Watching him fall to his knees. Thor roared to the sky. What's going on here? Wait. Fake, a pink hammer. Frank shouted. Hiss. Only then did everyone remember to turn on the detector. Just got it today. Not as long as Frank. I'm almost used to having it open all the time. Mjolnir level, pink. Note, using the dying fixed star core as the main material, supplemented by URU metal, and using the branches of the world tree as the handle, it was forged by the forging master of the dwarf clan. Originally a toy of Hela, the goddess of death, it later became Thor's weapon. It's just that Odin hopes that Thor can gradually control his thunder power through it. Who would have known that Thor, who had unlimited potential, would be trained to become the hammer god? Oh, hammer god. Everyone looked at the hammer. Then he looked at Thor, who was crying to the sky. It's so apt. As the son of Odin, you are the most powerful weapon. Face a hammer, you cry a hammer. Frank blinked. He walked up and patted Thor on the shoulder. Ah! Thor looked back blankly. Here, take it with you and look at the hammer. Frank handed over the detector. Thor put it on subconsciously. Frank pressed the button for him. Look at the hammer. Thor. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Thanks to Yenza for the Huawa monthly pass. Chapter 56. This. Thor was stunned. Does your father mean this? Then he has been using the hammer to conquer the 9 realms these years. No one told him either. It has such a meaning. Is the power of thunder my own ability? Not from hammer? Then why can't I use the power of thunder without a hammer? Etc. Who is Hela, the goddess of death? Are my weapons her toys? This is too much. Frank covered his mouth and coughed lightly. Didn't your dad tell you that you have a sister? Hela, the goddess of death, is your sister. Thor's face became even more confused. Elder sister? He is indeed not a kisser. He didn't even know he had a sister. Ron knew it when we first met him. He even said he wanted to be his brother-in-law. But, my sister's toy, my weapon? Well, I always throw what I don't want to Loki. But, that's because Loki always relies on illusions to trick him. Ahem. Frank coughed dryly. So, what happened to you just now? Why don't you pick up the hammer? He blinked and smiled. You don't want it anymore? Then I'll take it away. Frank's words suddenly made Thor react. Never mind what father means. The main thing now is, he can no longer hold his beloved Meow hammer. Thor's voice was sad again. I can't pick it up. Listen to Thor's crying voice. Everyone has become accustomed to it. The filters in their eyes were completely shattered by Thor himself. I almost recognized my father by mistake. Why are you crying? Luke Cage steps forward from behind. You mean you can't pick it up? It's just a big hammer, let me try it. Frank actually wanted to try it too. But before he could say anything, he was preempted by Luke Cage. Watching Luke Cage roll up his sleeves, he spoke as a reminder. Pay attention. The detector said that this is forged from the core of fixed star. The core of a fixed star. Its weight can be imagined. After Frank reminded, everyone suddenly realized. Thor is actually a guy who can use a fixed star core as a weapon. His sister even treats this as a toy. Hiss. No wonder Mr. Ron said, a mouth of that level could swallow the earth. Bah. Bah. He spat on his hands twice. Luke Cage wiped his hands. He reached out and grasped the handle of the hammer. Who? Ah. Veins popped up all over his body, and his face turned red from holding back. Luke Cage has 100 tons of strength. Not even qualified to shake the hammer. Phew, forget it, I can't lift it. Luke Cage took a deep breath and shook his head. Frank pulled him away. Get started, let me try. However, the result remains the same. The hammer didn't move at all. The curious people went up to try it one by one. But there is not even one that can make the hammer swing. Magneto, Juggernaut, Colossus, Abomination. Even Professor X couldn't help it and pushed his wheelchair up to lift it. It looks like we can't take it to the decomposition shop. Frank shook his head regretfully. Peter Parker looked at the hammer. It is indeed an artifact, it can actually forge a fixed star core into such a big size. Mr. Ron's decomposition machine is even more amazing, it can even decompose fixed star. Suddenly, he remembered Ron's reminder. That's not right. Mr. Ron specifically reminded us to come over and take a look. How come there is no gain? Do you think our approach is wrong? There must be a way to pick up the hammer, but we haven't found it yet. Peter rubbed his chin. I think we can try to lift the soil below directly with the hammer. Little guy, you're right, don't say it next time. Magneto walked over with a smile. I just tried it and it didn't work. The hammer and the ground seem to be one piece. No. It's like it's one with the earth. Unless someone can lift it with the earth attached to it, it's hard to pick it up. Lift the earth. Professor X looked at the hammer thoughtfully. Magneto's words reminded him of something. Suddenly the figure of Ancient One flashed in his mind. Correct. No. It's probably not a matter of weight. There must be magic involved. Unfortunately, this is not our strength. Even if you guessed that there might be magic on it, there's nothing you can do about it. They don't know magic. 2 does not have the ability to break magic. There is no power to lift the earth. So there is absolutely no way. While others were still enthusiastically trying to pick up Mjolnir. Suddenly a gust of wind blew up 100 meters away. A colorful beam of light fell from the sky. After leaving a complex mark on the ground. Disappeared in the blink of an eye. Everyone is super capable. Easily blows away the rolled up dust. I saw complex marks on it. 4 people wearing medieval armor were looking around. I saw a lot of people here. Walk straight over. Hey, Thor. Frank patted Thor on the shoulder. Do you know them? Thor looked up and met Frank's shining eyes. That kind of light is called, seeing something good. That's right. Under the detector. The 4 people opposite were all glowing with purple light. All in purple. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Thank you Yenza for your Huawa monthly pass. Chapter 57. All purple. This is second only to Ancient One Magician's total fans. Can Frank's heart be moved? Frank, forget it and understand. It turned out that Ron asked him to come. He wasn't asked to get Mjolnir. There are other benefits. The others also had the same expression as Frank at this moment. The gleaming gaze fell directly on the 4 people. They are ready. Just wait for Thor to answer that he doesn't know him. Just rush up and pick them off. The look in his eyes was like a group of wolves being imprisoned on a desert island for 10 years. Suddenly a beautiful woman fell from the sky. The 4 people stopped immediately when they saw it. Sif frowned slightly. What's the situation? What kind of look is this? Isn't Midgard said to be the realm of mortals? Why did every one of the group of people across from her make her feel in danger? Fondrel, are you sure we sent it correctly? Is this Midgard? Yes, it is indeed Midgard, and I teleported after confirming Thor's location. Fondrel was also a little confused. The look in the eyes of this Midgardian is even more heart-stopping than the giants of Jotunheim. Sif. Volstagg. Fondrel. Hogan. At this moment, Thor stepped out of the pit and shouted. Seeing that familiar figure, the eyes of the 4 Sif people lit up. A smile appeared on his face at the same time. Thor. Different from 5 guys. Luke Cage and the others immediately sighed in frustration. Oh, how come we know each other? Why do we know each other, friend? Frank blinked. He loves friends best. Hulk is a friend. So. He followed Thor and moved closer. Waiting for the 5 people to finish their greetings. Frank grinned. Thor, your friend. That's right. Thor nodded heavily. Let me introduce to you. Frank simply listened. That's not what he was thinking about. Wait until Thor finishes. Frank had a big smile on his face. He stretched out his hand and shook hands with the four people. I would like to ask, are you wearing Asgard standard armor? Are there any that have been eliminated after being used for a long time? Can you give me a few, even if they are broken, it doesn't matter. Don't worry, it's not in vain. Thor's experience on Earth is all on me. No one knows more about experience than me, Frank. Everyone behind was shocked. Shocked. Frank, this treacherous guy. Why didn't they think of that? That's right, Thor is the second-generation god. The second generation of gods is still the son of a god king, how could he not be Kuo Shao? That's wider than Tony. They love making friends the most. We wanted to. Magneto flew over directly. Prince Thor, champion of Asgard, if you can, I hope you can give us some. We mutants are all powerful warriors and are willing to become friends with Asgard. SIF4 people did not answer immediately. They were a bit confused by Frank and Magneto. Isn't this Midgard so miserable? When did discarded armor become meat and potatoes? The four people looked at Thor in surprise. Don't look at me. I don't know what they are going to do. As soon as we arrived in Midgard, we entered the disassembly shop. Who knows what changes are coming to Midgard? You can't always tell. He was ready to recognize his father as soon as he arrived, right? However, Thor sees how powerful Magneto and others are. After all, everyone just touched the Meow hammer. Thor laughed awkwardly. Take what Magneto said. That's easy to say, easy to say. When I get back to Asgard, I'll bring you some. Frank took Thor's hand. Okay, thanks Thor, but no need to go to all that trouble. I can go back with you, and then I can just pick out a few items. Magneto, I have never seen such a shameless person. Give me a pole and climb up. His face is thicker than the skin of his own feet. If only he had the nerve. Why can't we lead Brotherhood to become bigger and stronger? Think of this. He couldn't help but look at Frank a few more times. Just learn from his shamelessness. It won't be so miserable in the future. Thor hesitated. Asgard generally does not allow outsiders to enter. But look at how it looked before. Frank should be Ron's guy. Well, in the name of a friend. Getting into Asgard should be no problem. Then he nodded. Good. But as soon as he agreed, Thor scratched his head. But I don't know when I can go back. My father asked me to come down to practice, but Mjolnir didn't even recognize me. I'm afraid it will be a long time until the training is over. Frank patted Thor's shoulder to comfort him. It's okay, man. I just said, no one knows more about experience than me, Frank. If you have any difficulties in training, just come to me. In my opinion, your father is obviously aware of your shortcomings and wants you to grow. With my help, you will definitely get your father's approval faster. Thor's eyes were confused. His shortcomings. Thinking of his memory, Odin looked at him with disappointment many times. Thor nodded heavily, his eyes firm. You're right. But then he was stunned, with a hint of unconfidence on his face. Well, our Aesir race has a lifespan far longer than yours. What if I don't get my father's approval for a long time? The human race has a lifespan of more than 100 years. It's nothing compared to their tens of thousands of lifespans. He was afraid that his experience was not over yet. Frank has long since become ashes. By then, it will be too late to say anything. Ha ha ha, man, don't worry. Frank patted him on the shoulder and laughed. Don't worry, it won't take that long. You will soon be recognized by the God King. He said this as if he knew what the God King was thinking. Thor and Sif were stunned. Volstagg couldn't help but speak in confusion. How do you know you'll be recognized soon? Frank was about to answer. He opened his mouth but held back and said nothing. But Luke Cage behind him couldn't hold back. Oh, Mr. Ron said it. God King Odin is dying. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 58. God King Odin is dying. The expressions of the four Sif people changed drastically. He directly raised the weapon in his hand. Who are you? Who is Ron? How dare you disrespect the God King? Damn BD! How dare you curse the God King to death? See if I don't capture him and take him to Asgard to wait for the King of Gods to be punished. Frank looked helpless. What a pig teammate. It's not you who can say this. These 4 people have just arrived. Don't understand anything. Just say whatever you want. What's the difference between this and poking someone's eyeballs directly? Look at the appearance of those 4 people. If Thor wasn't here, I'm afraid I'll do it right away. God King sounds like a monarchy. The biggest God King in Asgard. The ancient countries of the earth. Suddenly there was a new king and the whole country was in mourning. If this monarch is still a wise monarch, that would make the whole country fall into sadness and confusion. This is just a mortal king. What if the God King has dominated for who knows how many thousands of years? Generation after generation, people grew up under the leadership of the God King Odin. This is no longer a monarch. This is faith. You open and close your mouth and say that people's faith is dying. I think you've had enough life. Do you really think you are Mr. Ron? It's okay to call Odin the old boy. Don't you know what your identity is? Moreover, in this situation, it is obvious that Odin wants Mr. Ron to help train his son Thor. Maybe I'll just stare at it now. Thinking of this, Frank shivered. If it weren't for teammates who have worked together for a long time, Frank really wanted to cut ties with him. Seeing the anger on the faces of the 5 Thors, Frank still stood in front of Luke Cage. Thor, don't get excited yet, we are friends. Why would you curse your God King as a friend? Thor felt a surge of sadness and anger in his heart. Mr. Ron, did you really say that? Frank hurriedly stopped Luke Cage, who was still bald. He smiled at Thor and the other 5. Thor, and Thor's friends. I know you are excited, but please calm down. Thor met Ron. I know Ron is a boss comparable to his father. After appeasing the 4 Sif people, turning to look at Frank, waiting for his explanation. Mr. Ron did say that. He said the God King was dying of old age, but I didn't understand why. It stands to reason that with the power of the God King, not to mention immortality, his lifespan is absolutely long. With my current strength, I can easily live for hundreds or thousands of years. The God King can definitely live for tens of thousands more years. Hear what Frank said. Thor's eyes filled with sadness. Thinking of Odin sleeping more and more frequently, he suddenly understood something. He raised his head and looked in the direction of Asgard. Vaguely, he seemed to see the old Odin, looking at him expectantly, looking forward to his growth. Thor's deep voice sounded. We, the Aesir clan, have strength far beyond that of Superman, and we also have a lifespan far beyond that of Superman. Strength can continue to increase with age. We are born with strong bodies. But the energy in the body grows faster than the physical body can improve. As we get older, our body will gradually be unable to withstand the surging energy in our body. Only by entering deep sleep can you barely control your power so that it doesn't get out of control in your body, causing damage to your body. This is Odin's sleep. At this point, Thor paused. My father fought countless battles when he was young, and he probably left countless hidden wounds. It turns out his body is reaching its limit. So, this is the reason why he has been sleeping more and more frequently in the past 100 years. I thought it was because my power grew too fast and I needed Shenmian to control it. Talking and talking. Countless images flashed through Thor's mind. Odin taught him how to be a king. There is Odin's scolding of hating iron for not becoming steel. There is also Odin's helpless sigh and lonely eyes. Far away in Asgard, Odin, who was lying on the bed, pretending to be asleep, had a tear in the corner of his eye. Not sad, but happy. This experience was really not in vain. How long does it take? Just let him see Thor's growth. Well, is it possible to break the spell? Saw Thor looking sad. Odin's heart softened. Forget it, let's just assume he passed this level. But the experience must continue. Odin thought of the scene where Thor recognized his father when he saw Ron. My heart became as hard as iron again. If you are an unfilial son, you should make him suffer again. I'm not sure who the father is. When he goes out to hang out in the future, he must lose his face. Perception Loki opened his treasure house. Prepare to teleport the destroyer armor to Midgard. He directly entered an instruction to the destroyer. Hold Thor down and beat him. By the way, he also increased the destroyer's power to the maximum. Destroyer armor. He, Odin, wears a set of hardened steel gods. Although it was led by him, coupled with the former hard steel god group, there was damage. But there is no denying the power of the destroyer. The current destroyer still has the power of level sub-god father. Otherwise, Odin wouldn't be able to let it guard the treasure house. It's just rather rigid. Like a programmed machine. I don't know how to maximize my own strength. After doing all this, Odin's body jerked. The room is still the same, just take a closer look. Odin's body doesn't look as real as before. Frigga, the queen of the divine realm, felt something. Heimdall, who was guarding Bifrost, suddenly moved his eyes slightly. Then the two of them looked at the same place at the same time. All I saw was the back of a kind old man with a pale beard. It is heading towards Midgard rapidly. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 59. Frank suddenly realized. It turns out there is such a secret. The older you get, the stronger you become. It's so strong that the body can't bear it. Hiss, how powerful is this? He just feels like he doesn't have enough strength now. More equipment needs to be broken down. It would be great if I could break down a set of purple equipment. Definitely better pink. Etc. Thor. I don't think your dad needs to die. Thor was startled, not understanding what he meant. The decomposition machine in Mr. Ron's shop, after decomposing the equipment, there is a reward called wool. This reward is specifically designed to enhance physical strength. Wouldn't this solve the problem that your divine race's body cannot withstand energy? Thor, are you telling the truth? Break down the store now. The store was empty, and Ron was the only one left again. He was silently feeling the relief of becoming stronger. 2 pieces of purple equipment in a row and 3 pieces of fake purple equipment. It directly took him from the late planet level to the galaxy level. And it's not the first time he has entered the galaxy level. Plus a lot of magic experience. 2 newly acquired abilities. His current hard power is close to that of Yetianfu. At the moment, he is studying the soul decomposition reward. This was the first time he had seen this. After his research, discovering that the soul actually enhances the power of the soul. As for other effects, he really didn't notice it. It's just that Ron's thinking fell into a misunderstanding. Because he only felt the soul power increase. No other enhancements were felt. I thought it only had this effect. He forgot. He acts as master of the decomposer. Any rewards earned are multiplied more than 10 times. We'll also be able to use everything like a finger. This is where the soul comes into play. Strengthens the soul. Naturally, understanding is strengthened. Comprehension is enhanced. For a variety of techniques, energy usage, magical experiences, and more. Everything can be understood faster. And draw inferences from one instance to another. It's just that Ron doesn't need any of this. After finishing, Ron lay comfortably on the boss's chair. Close to level sub-godfather. You can now step out of the disassembly shop without any worries. Although he knew that neither Ancient One nor Odin were hostile to him. But the strength is not strong enough. I just don't feel at ease. In the world of Marvel, who knows where a powerful old silver coin may be hidden? If you happen to be targeting him, it will be too late to become stronger by then. At least level Godfather has level Godfather strength. You can go wherever you want then. I met some kind of demon king, Mephisto. If you can fight, fight, if you can't fight, you can still run. Can't even run away. When you walk out of the store, it's just another bigger store. But, hell demons, there should be succubi, right? Ron blinked, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Give it a try if you get a chance and see if the succubus can really drain people dry. Tisk tisk, what are you draining? Suddenly the shop door was pushed open. Jessica took Gwen and the other 3, followed by 2 middle-aged men. A group of 6 people walked in. Ron was silent for a moment. Hiss. Isn't she just a succubus? How could I be so distracted thinking about the succubus? He didn't even notice someone arriving at the door. Jessica looked around. I heard from Gwen's father that there were people monitoring the shop everywhere just now. I thought something happened, so I came over quickly to take a look. Why is there no one? Gwen's dad? Ron looked up. Well, one did wear a detective uniform. The other one looks quite similar to Phil Coulson based on his stance. Agent? Jessica noticed Ron's gaze. Oh, he's Kem's dad. Boo Lois Mills. Kem's father introduced himself. It is concise and clear, and has the style of a top agent. Ron's eyes fell on him. No white gear. Just mostly blue, and one piece of green. He still has this kind of strength at the age of 4 or 50. Obviously he was not an ordinary person when he was young. Ron nodded at him. Look at Jessica. Why do I feel that you are disappointed that nothing happened to me? Jessica, that's definitely, no. Me? How could this happen? Disappointment. She is definitely disappointed. Since awakening flight ability yesterday, she suddenly found that her strength had increased sharply. She guessed that this was the planet level that Ron was talking about. The whole night was spent exercising. Try to control the rising power quickly. Just as he barely managed to get it under control, he received a call from Gwen. Detective Stacy said Ron's store was surrounded by surveillance people. And I saw colorful light pillars landing. She couldn't wait to show off in front of Ron. Pity. Nothing happened at the store. Mr. Ron, Jessica said that people here can have extraordinary powers. Do you think I can do it? Others can keep their composure, but Ken cannot. His character is out of character. When she saw Jessica's ability, she had long been envious. Gain extraordinary power. How cool. Very pretty girl. Ron suddenly felt a little familiar with Ken. Looked at her. Then she looked at her father who had a cold face. Oh. This is not the person who went on a trip and was abducted by human traffickers. Almost wasted. Then Dad went crazy. The hero and heroine who rescued thousands of miles away? P.S. New book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Thank you to the big guys at Yanzu for your Huawei monthly pass. Thank you so much. Chapter 60. A player worthy of John Wick. One is for the dogs. One is for my daughter. They all wiped out a Hey gang. When it comes to actual combat power, it is among ordinary people. Maybe weaker than the original Frank. But it's definitely no worse than the original Hawkeye. Mr. Ron, can't you? Still. Seeing Ron not speaking, Ken couldn't help but feel a little regretful on his face. I really want to get super abilities like my best friend Jessica. The only hope now is... Hey? Who said it can't be done? Ron came back to his senses and looked at her. Yes, it must be possible. You asked your dad to take off his pistol, holster, pants, suit, and belt. You will gain extraordinary power. Lois. Kem. Isn't this equivalent to stripping off your clothes? Looking at Lois, who has a black thread on his head. Ken's eyes wandered over him for a long time, but he finally didn't dare to speak. Her father did love her very much, but he asked her to strip naked in public. Ken hesitated for a long time, and finally looked at Ron. Is there no other way? Ron nodded. Yes, I have. Great. Kem shouted happily. Mr. Ron, what is your solution? Can you tell me? Ron pointed at Jessica. If you strip her, her clothes will work better. Jessica, Ron, UBD. Didn't I give you all my clothes? You have the whole outfit. I've only worn this outfit for a few days, and you're already thinking about it again. A full set? Is Xiaonani there too? Hey, there's a problem. Noticing the same looks from her best friends, Jessica quickly explained. Oh, it's just my jacket and pants, nothing else. Ron said that my strength still has a lot of room for improvement and he doesn't recommend that I break it down now. I'll leave it at his place to store it first. Gwen, yeah, you're right. Ken and Mary Jane, yeah, that's right, that's it. Jessica. You guys are so annoying. Ron, please take out my battle suit and show them. Ron didn't tease her and waved casually. The clothes Jessica had put here a few days ago appeared out of thin air and landed on the table. Jessica picked up the clothes and immediately spread them out, then said to Gwen and the others. Look, see clearly. Suddenly a black streak fell from the clothes. Black, or lace? Jessica, George Stacy and Blois turned away silently. They have to avoid suspicion as their daughter's best friend. Ken stretched out 2 fingers, pinched the black cloth, picked it up and took a look. Tisk, 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 I have to say, Jessica, you are quite capable. Ah! Jessica yelled, rushed up and snatched it away. It crackled and tore into pieces. Ron raised his hand. Hiss, green, what a pity. Jessica, angry. Ron spread his hands and said, I'll just tell you. It's yours, as you wish. Hey. Jessica snorted and threw the clothes in her hand directly to Ken. Don't you want super ability? It's yours. Go and decompose it, but I don't have the money. You have to pay for the decomposition machine yourself. Ken hugged Jessica excitedly. Jessica, you are so kind. 1, 2, 3, there are 3 pieces in total. Jessica doesn't need it. Gwen and we just have 1 piece each. What a pity, that one just now. Jessica? You still say that? Ken quickly surrendered. The 3 girls took Jessica's battlesuit and came to the medium-level decomposing machine. Dad, give me 30,000 USD. Ken waved his hand to Lois and opened his mouth, which is the annual income of ordinary people. Lois, do you think I have 30,000 people? He was originally a top agent, but he divorced his wife because of his mission. Later, I stopped working and silently protected Ken every day. One person can eat enough and the whole family will not be hungry. I used to have a lot of connections but no money at all. As for Ken, her mother was rich and didn't treat her badly. Ken blinked and took his hand back sheepishly. Sorry, I'll call my mom. After saying that, she took out her phone and called her mother. Mom, give me 30,000 USD. What to do? Redeem for super ability. I was deceived? No. My dad is here, if you don't believe me, ask him. Ouch. I want money, not to give it to him. Really? Hey? Mom. After hanging up the phone, Ken was about to speak. George Stacy clapped her hands. Okay, girls, I'll pay you. It just so happens that I am very interested in this decomposer. Let's see if it's really that magical. George's payment proved that he already believed it. Jessica's super ability, Ron's ability to pull objects out of thin air. There is also the hidden line that used to monitor the shops throughout the street. As a detective, he still couldn't understand that Ron's decades of life were simply in vain. As he witnessed with his own eyes, the 3 women disintegrated Jessica's clothes. Obtained several light groups. The light group merged into the bodies of the 3 women. It was like a completely reborn change. George suddenly realized that if everyone in the NYPD had used the decomposer, who else in New York would dare to commit a crime? P.S. New book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 61. No one knew what George was thinking. Otherwise someone will definitely remind him. You are improving, and so can those criminals. This thing is about who can improve faster. Who collects the most equipment. Just like in At the Moment's SHIELD. The existence of the decomposition shop, Ron's words. It makes Nick Fury sleepless. Recruit subordinates immediately. Research on the Tesseract is accelerated, S.H.I.E.L.D needs its own power. The subordinates were ordered to leave. Nick Fury is once again alone in the commissioner's office. He looked at the video recorded at the decomposition shop today. After a long silence, Ron's confidentiality level was listed as level 10. Then he took out Carol's pager and pressed it hard. A&D. On the other side, in Alexander Pierce's office. He took out a document and handed it to Gasper Sitwell. The information in the data is exactly the information of the disassembly shop. Also included are the strength test records of Natasha Romanoff, Hawkeye, and Phil Coulson. Nick Fury just classified it as a level 10 breakdown shop, owner Ron. A decomposition machine that gives people super abilities without side effects. The rest is not clear yet, I need our people to find out. If all this is true, we must keep it in our hands as much as possible. Sitwell looked at the information in his hand with great interest. Gain super ability without side effects. You know Red Skull and Captain America, that's legendary. But in this era, people with super abilities appear frequently, and the world is becoming more and more chaotic. Hydra never denies that it has more cards. Should we try to win over this Ron, or control him? Brainwashing, Hydra's strength. Pierce shook his head. Don't provoke him easily. I know Nick Fury, if he had any confidence he would have done it. Until now, he hasn't done anything to Ron, which shows that this Ron is not simple. First focus on contact, and then try to win over people when they become familiar with each other. They Hydra borrow a nest to build a nest. Whatever Nick Fury has, they will have it sooner or later. So there is no need to rush, let Nick Fury explore the way first. Sidwell nodded in understanding. Watching Sidwell leave, Pierce was lost in thought. Decompose the machine and gain extraordinary power. If you really can't take over the decomposer, you must win over Ron as soon as possible. It's really not possible, even if it means giving Ron a position as the smuggler's head. As long as you get the decomposer, it's worth it. Start building on the other side. Pepper looked at Tony in surprise as he hugged her in front of him. He was stunned for a moment, then his eyes showed excitement and joy. Then he realized that his hands were pressed against Tony's chest. Afraid of touching the wound on Tony's chest, he quickly tried to take it out. While pushing, Go suddenly touched Tony's chest. Smooth and flat. Not to mention the big hole, even the reactor is gone. Wait. Tony. Let me go first. Where's the wound on your chest? After Tony had just strengthened, he tore off his clothes in order to see the injury on his chest. I just put on a coat and simply buttoned it up. At the moment I heard Pepper ask, I let go of Pepper and opened the buttons of my coat. Pepper, I'm fine. Seeing Tony's flat chest with my own eyes. Pepper opened her mouth slightly, carefully stretched out her finger, and tapped it lightly. Really, it's true. You're really good. After the excitement, Pepper calmed down. What happened? What happened? Didn't you say you had to go out for something? Pepper, listen to me, I'm going to a store across the street today. Tony excitedly told Pepper. From him trading armor, to disassembling equipment, and finally meeting the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One who protects the earth. He also bought the King's monk's robe, thus strengthening his body and recovering from his injuries. Pepper was dumbfounded by every sentence. She's just a simple woman who just wants to take care of Tony. Where have I ever seen such a thrilling thing? The last time she felt thrilling was when she downloaded evidence in front of Obadiah. She was almost caught on the spot, and she panicked. Now, Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One? Protect the earth? Block the Demon King of Hell who could swallow the earth in one bite? What a fairy tale this is! If Tony's chest hadn't really recovered to its original state, she wouldn't have believed it. He even wanted to touch Tony's forehead to see if he had a fever. At this point, Tony was suddenly stunned. By the way, Pepper, my armor is now being dismantled. I urgently need to build a new one. Please help me buy the materials and deliver them to my villa. I want to use it now. Pepper, she was hugging her just now, but now, come on, she's worse than wearing iron skin. Pepper was definitely just complaining in her heart. After hearing what Tony said, she also knew that the most important thing now was that she had enough strength. He nodded immediately and was about to get ready. Suddenly he thought that Tony had just recovered and turned around quickly. Is your body really okay? Why don't you go to the hospital for a checkup and rest before we talk about the armor? Don't worry, I am not just a rich man, a great inventor, and a philanthropist now. Tony walked up to Pepper and put an arm around her. With gentle force, Pepper was lifted up. Look, I'm still Superman. The palm of his hand dragged Pepper's en and slowly lowered it. When I took it back, I couldn't help but squeeze it gently. He watched Pepper glare at him and leave in a hurry. And those rosy earlobes, Tony couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. In other words, with super strength, he can experience more postures. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 62. Pepper went to prepare the materials. Here Tony got into the laboratory without saying a word. J.A.R.V.I.S. Build the model. I want to try combining magic with armor. No. It's not a try, it must be possible. In Tony's mind, Wong's experience with magic kept pouring out. They need to borrow energy from the Lord of Dimensions to use magic. I don't need it, I can transform it to use the arc reactor. Well, how to convert the energy of the arc reactor into magic power? No. It's not conversion, it's still energy, and the way it's used is magic. As long as I engrave the magic on the armor in a special pattern, formation pattern. When using magic, you only need to activate the magic circle to release the corresponding magic. The first is the portal. This magic is very magical. It is carved on the chest. The magic whip is not bad either. It is a whip made of energy and is placed on the right arm. The red ring of Ragator is equivalent to defensive magic, cast with both hands. Wadham's wind. It's a pity that the king doesn't understand much about the magic that controls the storm. Forget it, I won't engrave it. The sacred sword of Emperor Weishan. A golden holy sword suddenly appeared in Tony's mind. One sword chopped half of the galaxy into pieces. Handsome. This is perfect for me. Well, the more energy released, the more powerful the sacred sword will be. That's great. I can use the energy of the entire reactor to activate the sacred sword. Then change to another reactor, and the combat effectiveness will not be affected at all. The shield of Seraphim. This is a bit similar to the red ring, but this is a large-scale defensive magic. Count it first. Crimson chains of Saratok, Bosat's thunder. Thanks to Tony's magic experience from Wang. Wang Ke is one of the few magicians besides the Ancient One who can cast spells without a ring. With just a thought, the energy will perform magic according to his thoughts. Thanks to Wang, Tony bypassed the problem of not having a ring as soon as he studied it. And the king's magic ability is very strong. He is also a librarian. It can be said that in the entire Kamartaj, apart from the Ancient One, the king has the richest magical knowledge. The deepest understanding of magic. Anyone else, Tony wouldn't have gotten so much magic. Or, this could also be intentional by the Ancient One. She wanted to see that in other timelines, Tony had also become the Sorcerer Supreme. In this world, what kind of sparks will burst out when armor and magic are combined? After all, the future of this world is increasingly unclear to her. Decompose the store entrance. I have decided that from today on, our four besties will be a new combination. Kem put her hands on her hips. After strengthening, her father couldn't beat her. But she is so awesome. At this moment, she and Gwen were discussing excitedly. Our group also needs to have a famous name. Peter and the others are not called the Defenders, we are called the Sailor Moon Group. Mary Jane frowned slightly, this doesn't go well with Peter's combination either. Gwen nodded, I feel bad too. Not as good as the Justice Girls League. Helping her dad George fight crime is what she wants to do. Her father is righteous, and she must have a righteous name. Jessica, what do you think? Anything is fine. Watching the three girls getting excited after gaining super abilities. Jessica waved her hand, and then fell into silence. Super ability. She would rather not have super ability. If she didn't have super ability, she wouldn't be corrupted by chemical elements. Their family of four would not have had an accident, and she would still have a perfect family. The three girls, who were still excited, noticed Jessica's mood. The three girls also lost their previous excitement. Jessica. Jessica smiled. It's okay, we have Mr. Ron's decomposer. Maybe one day, there will be a way to resurrect him. Gwen hugged her and said, yes, if so, we will do our best to help you. Good. Just then, suddenly across the Hudson River, a stream of colorful light beams descended from the sky to the earth. Gwen pointed over there. Look, this is the light beam in front of Mr. Ron's shop. Kem was eager to give it a try, should we go and have a look? They are now also girls with super abilities. How could you not participate in something like this? As for the danger? They should be afraid of danger. And New Jersey at the moment. The colorful light beam landed not far from Frank and others. He looked at the dust blocked by Magneto's super ability. Frank looked at Thor and the other five. By the way, do you have any friends coming? Thor also looked surprised, and suddenly seemed to think of something. It should be Loki. My brother, Loki, he will definitely come to see me. I knew how he could bear to watch me being RD by my father. Hey? My divine power has been restored. Halfway through, Thor was stunned. Suddenly, he found that his divine power appeared again, and he subconsciously waved to Mjolnir. Whoosh! An afterimage flashed across Frank's eyes. Bang! Mjolnir is held tightly in Thor's hand. P.S. New book, new book. Anyone who likes it can support it. Chapter 63. Get it with Mjolnir. A suit of silver scales and a red cloak appeared out of thin air. Lost and found. Thor excitedly held the meow hammer and roared to the sky. The power of thunder burst out. Just a trace of it on his body made Frank's skin feel a little numb. When he came back to his senses, he realized that Zifo and the others had already retreated dozens of meters away without knowing when. Frank? When disaster strikes, we all fly away. It's not dangerous yet, so don't tell me to warn you. Frank complained in his mind, and quickly backed away. He didn't stop until he could no longer feel the numbness caused by the thunder and lightning. Looking at Thor suspended in mid-air. Surrounded by thunder, it is majestic. I couldn't help but sigh. This is Thor. Yes, Thor is the strongest warrior in Asgard. Volstagg nodded in agreement. Frank opened his mouth, but swallowed what was in his heart. After all, we still need to make friends. If we tell Thor about his father's recognition, will he still be able to make friends? Frank turned around cautiously and glared at Luke Cage, who had opened his mouth. Damn FK. Fortunately, I remembered you, otherwise you would be so bald again. Frank is really annoying. The entire Defenders, a barely grown child. A pure blind saint. A fool who only has muscles and no brains. He alone held up the entire Defender. Without him, the Defenders would have to disperse sooner or later. As for leaving, Frank didn't think about it. After taking advantage of others, pat your butt and leave. How is this different from a white-eyed wolf? Frank is not like that. At this time, the diffuse dust gradually dispersed. Asgard. Loki holds the Spear of Eternity and watches everything happening on Earth. After seeing Thor summoning the Meow Hammer. Angry roar. Father, this is what you call fair competition. This is what you call Thor. He needs to seal everything and gain experience. I don't see fairness, I only see favoritism. I'm going to confine Thor to Midgard until I prove myself. Breakdown shop. Ron looked at the colorful beam of light landing again in the distance. Tisk, tisk, this should be the Bifrost where the destroyer armor comes. I don't know what level that thing is. However, considering that the thing that was destroyed by Thor's hammer in the first place, it shouldn't be a good thing. After all, when I ordered Mjolnir to be forged, I wasn't pursuing ultimate power. Whitebeard Odin suddenly opened the door and walked in. Looking at Ron looking into the distance, Odin's eyes flashed with surprise. You're younger than I thought. After hearing about the decomposer from the Ancient One, Odin thought the owner was a mysterious old guy. But in his perception, Ron's life breath was just like what he saw. Young, active and full of energy. Ron raised his eyebrows, not surprised by Odin's arrival. Being bearish on life and death does not mean that you definitely want to die. Odin had no choice but to pin his hopes on Thor. It's different now, it can make him stronger. He always comes to try. Definitely, I am only in my 20s, upright and young. Why, God King Odin came here specially to use the decomposition machine. I'm telling you, everything that has been used is good, even the Ancient One magician is no exception. Yet. By the way, I have to get a photo of the Ancient One magician and hang it up later. This is a good advertisement. Mephisto has to come in and take a look when he sees it. As he spoke, Ron turned his attention to Odin. This seems pretty good. By the way, God King Odin is really about the same height as Thor. Well, Odin is a killer, not as calm as the Ancient One. Who knows if his mentality will become younger as he becomes stronger. Wait until your strength reaches level Godfather. Odin was silent. He felt as if he and Ron were not thinking in the same dimension. Generation gap? Well, according to Midgard, that's how it should be described. As for height, this is just the best form for him to control energy. As long as he wants to, his physical body is comparable to a fixed star, and he can do it, emitting infinite divine light and making the planet rotate around him. Forget it, none of this matters. Mr. Ron, the Ancient One magician told me about the decomposer. Can I try it out? Try whatever you want. Ron pointed with a big hand. Just what you want. Odin raised his hand and took out a treasure, the Sun Stone. As soon as it was taken out, a small sun seemed to appear in the decomposition shop. Blooming with dazzling but not burning light. Ron raised his hand to suppress the light emanating from it. Just listen to Odin talking about the origin of the Sun Stone with a calm expression. This is a gift given to me by the Light Elves of Elfheim when I was fighting in the 9 realms in my early years to thank me for saving their clan. As the top sunstone, it has rich solar energy. It has the ability to temper the body and strengthen the body to heal pain. In the entire Elfheim, there are only 3 sunstones of this level. Grateful? I'm afraid I won't be beaten by you. Hurry up and pay tribute with some treasures to show your surrender. Listening to Odin's explanation, Ron focused on the sunstone. Sunstone of the light spirit grade, pink note, the rich power of the sun, while tempering the body, will also stimulate and strengthen the light and fire attributes in the body. Ron's eyes suddenly lit up and he nodded. It's indeed a good thing. Although it does not have the ability to attack. Just like Tony's arc reactor, there is a purple level for nothing. But the sunstone is definitely the most suitable treasure for Odin. Strengthen the body and heal the pain. But when Ron saw the note, he shook his head. Things are good, but they can only temporarily alleviate your situation. As time goes by, other situations may arise. There is an old saying in the Dragon Kingdom that if the sun does not grow, the sunstone will strengthen the power of Yang attribute. Your body has already reached its limit. Over time, it will still cause problems in your body. Odin looked at Ron with a flash of surprise in his eyes. As expected of someone who possesses a magical tool like a decomposition machine. Don't worry, I brought another treasure. As he spoke, Odin waved his hand slightly. A square box exuding infinite cold air appeared in his hand. P.S. New book, new book. If you like it, you can support it, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you like. Chapter 64. The Treasure of the Giants of Jotunheim. The Casket of Ancient Winters. Casket of Ancient Winters grade, pink note, the treasure of the ice giant family contains endless energy. While tempering the body with the power of ice, it will also strengthen the cold attribute in the body. Ron. Good guy, the harmony of yin and yang? You know better than me. It's the ultimate treasure of the ice giant family. Ron sighed with emotion. Isn't this another treasure that you fought and robbed? I guess the origin of the sunstone is similar to Ron's guess. Thanks for the gift, I guess I stole it. Suddenly Ron thought of Loki. He remembered correctly. Loki seemed to have accidentally touched the Casket of Ancient Winters once. Because he was the son of Laufey, the king of ice giants, when he touched it, his skin immediately changed to the color of the giants of Jotunheim, making him realize that something was wrong with his life experience. By the way, has Loki touched this Casket of Ancient Winters? Hearing Ron's words, Odin looked at him in surprise. Unexpectedly, this kind of hidden talk comes from your pig mouth. I am really curious, how do you know these things when you are in your 20s? Defeating Laufey happened more than 1,000 years ago. Odin suddenly sounded the time gem, and was slightly stunned. Yes, there are time gems in the world, the kind of treasure that can travel through time. It is not magical if there is another person who can see through the past and the future. Ron didn't explain either. As for time gem, can it see through time? Let's wait until he tricks the Ancient One into disassembling the time gem. If you really can't wait until the Ancient One has had enough, you can just trick May 13th Stephen into decomposing it. With Stephen's character, he would never refuse. You know, Stephen is a big loner, even more ruthless than Ancient One, and he never misses what he can get. Return it. Is there anyone in the Sorcerer Supreme line who returns it? Seeing that Ron had no intention of continuing, Odin said no more. Come to the decomposer and put money. I don't have Midgard currency, can I use Asgard currency? Ron nodded, yes, as long as it's currency. But I don't know the conversion ratio, you need to try it yourself. Odin nodded slightly. As the top decomposer collected the money, it began to decompose the equipment. There is nothing else in the decomposition shop except the sound of gears coming from the decomposition machine. Both of them were watching silently, waiting for the decomposition results. 2 top-notch artifacts. Even Ron doesn't know now what will be decomposed. He only knows that he will usher in an unprecedented improvement. And Odin was looking closely at the decomposer. Change the future and no longer need Odin's sleep to relieve physical stress, let alone face death. He will have enough time to wait for Thor to grow up. There is no need to live through Ragnarok, no need to use the destruction of Asgard to continue the future of the Aesir. It was only a few seconds, but it seemed as long as Odin's life. Finally. Decomposition completed. Sparkling Will of Light *10. Ice Will of Destruction *10. Body of the Sun *10. Ice Prison Body *10. Chaos Origin *1. Shining colorless large crystal block *1. Explode. Big explosion. Just after the decomposition was completed, Ron received information about the decomposition rewards, and he received an improvement immediately. The above is the reward after decomposition of Odin. Ron got 10 times of Odin. Huge amounts of improvement made him feel a little uncomfortable for the first time. The surging power and violently beating heart made him realize that he had reached level Godfather in one fell swoop. Is this pink level equipment? Definitely, more thanks to the 10x bonus. The Sunstone decomposed into the shining will of light, the body of the sun plus 0.5 shining colorless large crystal blocks. The shining wool of light tempers the body with the attributes of light and fire. The physical strength of the body is equivalent to 100,000 defective wills. Coupled with the body of the sun, Ron's body is directly strengthened to the point where it can crush fixed star. No, his body is equivalent to condensed fixed stars, and there are more than one. As for the shiny colorless large crystal block, one is equivalent to the upper limit of 1 million energy values. The 10-fold increase directly raised Ron's energy level to level Godfather. There are also the Ice Will of Destruction and Ice Prison Body decomposed by Casket of Ancient Winters. Except that the energy is opposite to that of the Sunstone, the improvement of the body is almost the same. Odin has put a lot of effort into the selection of treasures. 1 yin and 1 yang circulated continuously in the body. After being completely integrated, Ron felt a trace of the original power. And this source of power is infinitely amplified by the decomposed reward chaos source. The origin of chaos warms and nourishes the origin of yin and yang of heaven and earth, and the origin of yin and yang strengthens the origin of chaos. Under the warm nourishment and feedback, a strange cycle was formed. Ron is the biggest beneficiary of this cycle, and his body is constantly being tempered by the source. He can perceive that even without the improvement of the decomposition machine, the physical body is constantly getting stronger, but it is getting stronger very slowly. It would be nice if there were 2 more pink artifacts. On the other side, Odin's aura kept fluctuating. Although it was only 1/10 of Ron's reward, it was equivalent to integrating a sub-heavenly father into his body. The most important thing was that it allowed him to touch the edge of his origin. For Odin, the pressure of his energy on the body is relieved. The 2 artifacts at least extended his death by hundreds of years. Level sub-godfather's other powers are not much for Odin. After a moment, he was completely in control, opened his eyes, and a flash of joy flashed in his eyes. Unexpectedly, the decomposition machine actually allowed me to touch a trace of my origin. What an unexpected surprise! Ron was startled. Hey? Odin is at least the pinnacle of level Godfather, doesn't he also have the original power? It was only equivalent to 1/10 of his, which made Odin beam with joy. What is the origin of this? The next way for him to become stronger is to move towards his origin? Ron was confused and asked directly without covering up. God King Odin, what is this origin that makes you surprised? Odin was a little surprised when he heard Ron's question. You don't know your origin? What is your current strength? Odin paused as he spoke, I couldn't see through you. I thought you were like me, at the peak of Heavenly Father, or even level single universe. Ron hesitated for a moment. My realm is considered to be level Godfather for the first time. The state is that of entering the Heavenly Father for the first time, but the actual strength is probably around the later stage of the Heavenly Father. After reaching level Godfather, Ron had a lot more information in his mind. For example, the gap between realms. According to the will of a defective, it counts as 1 point. The upper limit of surface level is 100, the upper limit of planet level is 10,000, the upper limit of galaxy level is 100,000, the upper limit of level sub-Godfather is 5 million, and the upper limit of level Godfather is 100 million. Above that, Ron has no idea. He only knows that above 100 million is level single universe. But he didn't know what the upper limit was and what the limits were. Now listen to what Odin said. Does it mean that level single universe is related to the origin? New to level Godfather? Odin was slightly startled, but did not look down upon Ron because he was not as powerful as him. You know, Ron is only in his 20s. What was he doing in his 20s? Let's look at what Thor was doing when he was in his 20s. He is already over 1,000 years old. Even if he doesn't control his own strength well, he can still recognize his father in public. Odin raised his eyes to look in the direction of New Jersey, where Thor was about to be beaten by the destroyer, and felt a sense of relief in his heart. After feeling much better, I slowly started to explain to Ron. The origin is the foundation for entering the level single universe. If level Godfather is the strongest in the universe, then the level single universe originally is equivalent to a universe. Seeing Ron's curiosity, Odin continued. The universe has always existed because it relies on the origin of the universe. If you want to step into the level single universe, you need to incorporate the origin into your body and gradually transform your body into the body of the origin. After transforming into the original body, you can still be strong and not be suppressed after leaving this universe. If the origin is insufficient, no matter how strong the strength is, even if it is not weaker than level single universe, if you leave your own universe, your strength will be suppressed. If the original laws of the world you enter are too restrictive, your power may even be at a loss. After hearing Odin's narration, a name suddenly came to Ron's mind and he blurted it out subconsciously. Mephisto. Hearing this, Odin nodded. Yes, Mephisto is a lord of the Hell dimension, but his own strength is actually not much weaker than me and Sorcerer Supreme. It's just that the Earth is not his home ground. If he wants to invade the Earth, he will be suppressed by the origin of the world. Many dimensional lords like Dormammu are the same. It's just that some are further along the path to the origin, and some have just embarked on the path to the origin. They are all essentially the same. Having said that, Ron has not forgotten what Odin just said. The realm is less than level single universe, but the actual power can be exceeded. Things like Odin and Ancient One are definitely on this list. Ron nodded to Odin in gratitude. Thank you very much for the popular science, God King, but the decomposition machine is not free. Odin. Just by using the decomposition machine, he also roughly understood why the decomposition machine requires money. It's nothing more than that money is the sustenance of living beings and contains undetectable luck. To put it bluntly, you can have as many as you want. It's just a little currency that contains the slightest bit of luck, so what's free? Doesn't he have as much of that thing as he wants? As a god king, he can make it himself and then promote it in Asgard and even the 9 realms. Now that the crisis of death has been lifted, even if there is another crisis of lifespan in the future, he has more treasures in his treasury. There is also an infinity gauntlet, the same model as Thanos. At worst, he will take it out and break it down. Shaking his head with a chuckle, Odin looked towards New Jersey and spoke to Ron. How about it, do you want to go and see it together? Just as he was about to refuse, Ron suddenly blinked. Level Godfather. The real strength of level Godfather in the later stage. He can actually walk out of the decomposition shop without worrying about running into old silver coins. It's a no-brainer. Get out. You must get out. When you come to the Marvel world, what can you do if you don't take a good look at it? Thanos? Come on, slap me. Wanda, well, she probably doesn't have the awakening super ability yet. New Jersey. Frank and others' eyes widened as they watched the dust fall away, revealing the destroyer armor in its complete form. Destroyer armor grade, pink note, in order to fight against the god King Odin, the armor forged by the gods possesses unparalleled energy. At its peak, it could even destroy a fixed star with a single punch. When Odin wears it, he can increase his power to 2.3 volume, increased by 3 to 5 times. Unfortunately, we were still defeated by the 9 members of the Celestial Group. During the battle with the Celestial Group, we suffered heavy losses. The strength of the armor was very low. Mom FK. Brother Thor. This is your father's armor. Thor also sensed the aura of the destroyer at the moment. This is so powerful. What on earth is going on? The destroyer armor should be guarding the treasure house, why does it appear here? Guard the treasure house? Odin's treasure house? How many good things must there be? Frank yearned in his heart. Thor, tell me, is it possible that the God King's treasure trove was stolen and the destroyer armor came to you for help? Volstagg glared at him. No one can break into Asgard. No one can enter the treasury of the God King. With the power of the destroyer, even King Laofi of the giants of Jotunheim is no match. Sif interrupted everyone's conversation. I feel something is wrong. The destroyer seems to be attacking us. I feel like it is constantly increasing its power. 27 Sif's words reminded everyone, and Frank's expression instantly became solemn. Thor, isn't this your father's armor? Why did you attack us? Sif said solemnly, when we left, the God King fell into Odin's sleep. Asgard is now controlled by Loki, and even the Eternal Spear is in Loki's hands. And the only one who can control the Destroyer, besides the God King and the Queen, is Loki, who holds the Eternal Spear. Fandrel's expression changed. Loki is going to kill Thor. Chapter 65. At the moment, Loki, who was looking at the earth in Asgard, had already cursed. Damn it! When was I going to kill him? I planned to teach him a lesson, I never thought of killing him. What's going on with this destroyer armor? Why does it suddenly become so powerful and it's not under my control? Didn't you say that you can control Asgard's strongest weapon, the destroyer, by holding the Eternal Spear? He, Loki, never wanted to compete with Thor for the throne. He just wanted to prove himself and prove that Loki was not just a trickster. He just wants the destroyer to stop Thor in Midgard, so that he can carry out his plan while Odin is sleeping and Queen Frigga is taking care of Odin. Kill the giants of Jotunheim and completely destroy this gang that always wants to cause rebellion and rebel against Asgard, the source of trouble. But now, Loki's eyes fell on Odin's chamber. Father, you are always partial. You promised to train Thor, but you broke the spell in less than a day. Let me take charge of Asgard with the Eternal Spear, but I can't even control a destroyer. In this case, then I will rely on my own methods to do everything I want to do. Loki's deep voice sounded in the palace. An array of golden light appeared in his eyes, which penetrated the 9 realms and landed on Ron's shop. The moment Ron unlocked the restrictions before, he also learned the magic of the decomposer. Decompose the equipment and strengthen himself. Since he still needs the power of the Eternal Spear, he simply decomposes the Eternal Spear and turns it into his own power. Meanwhile, Earth, New Jersey. The destroyer armor demonstrates its unrivaled power. All his terrifying strength exploded. Juggernaut rushed forward at supersonic speed, was punched by the destroyer, and flew back at an even faster speed. Banner did not refuse Hulk's appearance, and Hulk yelled angrily at Hatred, expressing his disgust for this guy who stole his power. But he knew that the biggest enemy in front of him was the destroyer, and he didn't bother with Abomination. Instead, they rushed forward with Abomination. Behind them was Colossus, who had a body of 29 steel. And Frank and Luke Cage. At the moment, Hulk and Abomination played assists. Although they have strength that is not weaker than Abomination and others, and also have super strong defense, in terms of recovery speed, they are a little behind. The destroyer armor is the royal armor of level Godfather Odin, and its strength is incomparable. But looking at the state in which Juggernaut is still lying on the ground, you know that the punch is not something that just anyone can withstand. As these battle tanks moved forward, Magneto stood next to Professor X, lowering his head and asking, "How about it? Is there any way to control it?" Professor seeing this, Magneto nodded solemnly, because there was nothing he could do. His magnetic field control had no effect on the destroyer. Obviously, he also understood that it was not that the material of the destroyer armor was not affected by the magnetic field, but that his power was not strong enough to affect the destroyer. When I go back this time, I must go to Mr. Ron's shop to strengthen. Making a decision in his mind, Magneto turned to look at R&D Push Charles. Let's move back further. This battle is no longer something we can participate in. Even he can only play support from a distance, let alone others. For a time, only the extraordinary beings who were mainly physical were left on the field. But the scene of Hulk, Frank, and others fighting the destroyer shocked the 4 Sif people. Thor, are they really Midgardians? Why do I feel that Volstag's physical strength is inferior to them? Volstagg waved the battle axe in his hand and retorted dissatisfiedly, "No way, I'm not worse than them. No worse than them." Obviously, he himself thinks that if he really fights Hulk and the others, he may not be able to win. You must know that they are the 3 warriors of Asgard, and Sif is Thor's childhood sweetheart and the next prince and concubine appointed by him. The 4 of them plus Thor are the next generation of the strongest in Asgard. Although their power is far from the peak, but now, they are surpassed by a group of mortals who are far younger than them. This is shocking enough. As for Fandrel and Hogon, their physical strength is not as good as his. He can still withstand the destroyer's punch when he rushes forward. If Fandrel and the 2 of them were to go up, they wouldn't be dead or disabled with one punch. Thor looked at this scene and sighed, as expected of my father. You deliberately asked me to come to Midgard to practice. In fact, you found a group of companions for me. With warriors like them here, the entire 9 realms and our people will be our enemies. Volstagg and others nodded, yes, these people are all brave warriors. For a moment, the scene of fighting with Frank, Hulk, and others appeared in their minds. They are invincible wherever they go. The huge bodies of Hulk and others are like the most eye-catching flags on the battlefield, inspiring people. Volstagg hit the battle axe with a wave of his hand. Thor, let's go too. The armor of Asgard must always come from us Asgard warriors. Fandral smiled and patted Volstagg's arm. I didn't expect that I heard such reasonable words from your mouth. Volstagg glared at him. Humph. If you can't block the destroyer's attack for a while, don't even think about asking me to fight for you. Thor then waved the Meow hammer. Okay guys, let's go. After saying that, he took the lead and headed straight for the destroyer armor, hitting the destroyer's head with the Meowth hammer in his hand. Just listen to the sound of cow dang. The bursting thunder collided with the destructive energy, and then a shockwave was formed, which seemed to form ripples in space and swayed around. The shockwave dissipated, and the destroyer was seen motionless, but Thor was knocked backwards by the shock. Frank swallowed. The power that Thor just exploded is galaxy level, right? He even said that almost everyone present was at the planet level. To say that the only one who can reach the galaxy level in strength is Hulk, he could barely defeat the destroyer in 2 moves before. Now, with Thor's galaxy level power, the destroyer can easily block it. You were just warming up with us before? Damn it! Frank's face turned ugly. They had tried their best before. But what pleased him next was, with Thor's involvement, the destroyer turned all his attention to Thor. Let them attack, resist them all, and ignore them completely. His eyes suddenly lit up. Guys, come on, someone is helping us resist the destroyer armor. The others were happy, but Thor was extremely depressed at the moment. The destroyer is eyeing him. The slapped palm actually has a trace of level Godfather's power. Pa! Use the Meow hammer to block it, and the Meow sleeper will be hammered away. Then, before he could stabilize his figure, a crimson beam of light shot out. Hastily, he blocked the Meow hammer in front of him, and with a loud bang, he flew further. However, just as he stopped flying upside down, he saw a blur in front of his eyes, and the black body of the destroyer appeared in front of him. FK. Thor cursed angrily in his mind. Why didn't he look so strong before? Why did everything change as soon as he made a move? What's going on? However, what answered him was the iron fist of the destroyer armor. The iron fist, which was as big as his head, hit his face perfectly. In an instant, Thor's face was shape-shifted. If it hadn't been for the divine body inherited from Odin, this punch would have left a mouth full of teeth. Impossible. How can the destroyer be so strong? Thor had only heard that the destroyer armor was very powerful, but he had never seen it before. Moreover, the destroyer armor had suffered heavy damage, and he couldn't even fight back. On the other side, the destroyer armor suddenly disappeared, leaving Frank and others stunned. Then they saw a huge black figure heading straight towards Thor, who was flying upside down, and they quickly chased after him. But before he could catch up, the destroyer punched Thor away again, and then disappeared again. Then, the destroyer catches up with Thor again. They were silent. He silently glanced at Volstagg who was chasing after him. By the way, has Thor ever provoked the destroyer armor? Why did it just stare at him and fight alone? Volstagg scratched his head. I don't know. Maybe Thor went to the treasure house to cause trouble and caused trouble. Sif and others also stopped. It's not that they don't want to help, they really mean it, but they really can't help. Asgard, the strongest of the young generation are all here, and Thor was sent flying by the destroyer at a speed that they couldn't catch up with, so how could they help? They could only stand there and watch as the destroyer punched Thor away, chased after him and punched him again. He was blown away, he chased after him again, and he was punched away again. In the space mezzanine in the void, at the moment 3 figures were standing here, watching the battle below. Thor's words fell into the eyes of the 3 of them, and Ron glanced at Odin. God King, have you really come to Earth to challenge the warriors? Your body has recovered, and your previous fighting mentality has also returned. Odin looked steadily. The king is kind, but if someone offends someone, they will also see the majesty of the king. As the king of the 9 realms, I hope to see the 9 realms become more peaceful under my rule. Definitely, the premise of all this is that Asgard has the power to crush everything. After saying that, Odin suddenly realized that the Ancient One was also there, and the majestic look he had just disappeared, and was replaced by a kind smile. I have to say that under the governance of the Ancient One magician, Midgard is very good and has given birth to so many powerful warriors. Especially that big guy, he has great potential, not even weaker than you. Odin focused his attention on Hulk. Everyone else was punched away by the destroyer. Only Hulk roared and withstood the destroyer's iron fist. Not only that, during the fight, his strength actually became significantly stronger, as if there was no upper limit at all. In Odin's opinion, this is simply a miracle. Thor's potential is also top-notch in the history of Asgard. How can Midgard compare to Thor? Odin's eyes suddenly flashed slightly, and he glanced at Toichi. He was also in your plan, right? Ancient One nodded calmly. Yes, he is one of them, and he is still an important person. In the future, she arranged, Hulk is her successor and one of Stephen Strange's important teammates. Well, in her arrangement, it was only until Stephen took over the position of Sorcerer Supreme. As for what happened after that, she just took a rough look and found that the Earth did not explode anyway. After she abdicates, what will happen to the Earth in the future is Stephen's problem and has nothing to do with her. After working hard for so many years, they are not allowed to rest. Odin looked at Ancient One. With Mr. Ron's decomposition machine, the future has completely changed. Do you still want it? Well, but not. You must follow the original trajectory. Sometimes real death and fake death will achieve the same effect. Ancient One glanced at Ron, and she had to say that Ron's decomposition machine was a great surprise to her. Not only does it allow people to improve their strength, it can also decompose their origins. You know, it was through Time Gem that she realized the origin of time. This is because the Sorcerer Supreme lineage is compatible with Time Gem. Just look at Odin and you will know that Space Gem, Reality Gem and Power Gem have all been purchased before. The space origin of the Space Gem is just an introduction, but it barely manages to make Bifrost. The Reality Gem didn't even have a door, only the Power Gem. Odin understood it a little deeper, but it couldn't compare with her origin of time. It is difficult to understand even if you hold the gem of the origin of the universe, which shows how difficult it is to break through the level single universe. Could it be that Ron's decomposer contains a large universe? Ancient One couldn't figure it out, and she didn't bother to think about it. Now she just wanted to wait for Stephen to take over. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but look at the figure who was performing surgery in a hospital, Stephen Strange. Anyway, it has become so much. Shouldn't he be early? Sooner or later he will get into a car accident. Maybe today? Noticing the twinkling eyes of the Ancient One, Ron and Odin both followed his gaze. Didn't you see anything special? Odin didn't think much, but Ron noticed Stephen at a glance. What is this for? Give it to him in advance? However, at this moment, Ron couldn't help but smile as he looked at the battlefield with a changing style. As a god king, you are too petty. Don't you just suspect that he is not your biological son? How could you be so cruel to your own son? Young man, who wouldn't make some mistakes? Young people? Who is younger than you? You are the last person to say such a thing. Odin. I have never been so speechless in my life. This is Loki's control, it has nothing to do with me. But Thor should fight more with the strong and always fight with the weak. When will he be able to control his own power? Ron didn't reveal it and nodded to him with a smile. Well, you're right. It's not my son anyway, so I won't feel bad if you beat him casually. Odin, the last time I was so speechless was just now. At this time, Ron suddenly felt something in his heart and looked outside the earth. Odin and Ancient One looked the same way. Odin was surprised. This is also a person from Midgard? He can actually reach level Godfather. Chapter 66. Is level Godfather so easy to achieve? Why can't he understand the little Midgard? Hey? Wait. Isn't this the galactic vigilante who has been enforcing the law everywhere in the galaxy in recent years? Is she from Midgard? A few light years away, a figure was seen flying towards the Earth quickly like a shooting star. In just a short moment, the figure approached the Earth. The highly recognizable outfit was none other than Captain Marvel Carol. As soon as Carol entered the Earth, she immediately felt something was wrong in New Jersey. At this moment, New Jersey has long been surrounded by the mirror space of Ancient One, and the power of perception is released to the maximum. Hey? Dimensional space? Subspace? What on earth is this? Another New Jersey has been copied. No matter what, Carol didn't care at all, and rushed towards the mirror space in a flash. Ancient One shook his head. With this kind of temper, it is easy to suffer big losses. Raising his hand and tapping lightly, a hole opened in the mirror space, and Carol took the bottle. Frank and others who were fighting all saw Carol suddenly appearing, but no one dared to stop. The destroyer will not stop and watch just because an outsider suddenly appears. Carol frowned. The mirror space had just opened, and she had sensed it. Someone controls this space? But when she saw the battle below, her frown gradually relaxed. Countless extraordinary beings fighting against a robot? There are large craters tens of meters wide everywhere, with ferocious cracks spreading hundreds or thousands of meters. It turns out that someone specially created a battlefield. If this battle were to take place on Earth, New Jersey would probably be destroyed over time. Knowing that the people in the dark were on the Earth's side, Carol no longer struggled. Energy flames appeared all over his body, and turned into a ray of light, falling next to Phil Coulson. "Hey, are you an agent of the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Agency?" Phil Coulson's uniform reminded him of Nick Fury's shadow. Phil Coulson was stunned for a moment and showed a kind smile. "Hello ma'am, I am Phil Coulson, an agent affiliated with SHIELD, the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Directorate, the former name of SHIELD. Carol nodded. "Well, that name is indeed long and ugly. Do you know Nick Fury? Where is he? What happened to the Earth to call me back?" As she spoke, she set her sights on the destroyer armor. "What is this? An alien invasion? Also, who are these people? Who created this dimension you are fighting in? He is very powerful." Carol's series of questions almost caused Phil Coulson's brain to shut down. Fortunately, as a top agent, what he is best at is talking to people and obtaining information from them. However, the information he heard from Carol's words made his heart beat wildly. What does "call me back" mean? Is it because of what happened on Earth? Is it possible that this lady is from Earth but has never been on Earth? Alien invasion? He just learned at Ron's store that she had experienced it with Nick Fury? Nick Fury's comrade? And Nick Fury actually has a way to contact people on Earth and in the universe? And Carol came back alone, apparently able to physically fly in the universe. What level? Galaxy level? Sub-Heavenly Father? He didn't dare to think about level Godfather, that was the level of God King. Finally, aren't they fighting New Jersey now? What is the dimension? It can be said that Carol came here to seek answers, but he asked a series of questions that even Phil Coulson couldn't answer, and was even confused. But one thing he knows, Nick Fury is now the SHIELD director, and I am his agent. I think he should be in the New York base now. As he said that, he turned back and pointed in the direction of New York. Hey? Where is New York? At this time, he suddenly realized, dimensional space. Carol obviously saw that Phil Coulson didn't know anything and nodded to him. Okay, I understand. Then you know who these people are, right? Who is the enemy and who is a teammate? Hurry up and figure it out so I can go find Nick Fury and find out. Phil Coulson quickly replied, there is only one enemy, and that is that square. It is said to be the destroyer, the battle armor of God King Odin. It has great power. Who are you talking about? God King Odin? He is going to attack the Earth. Carol was surprised. After traveling in the galaxy for so many years, how could he not have heard the name of God King Odin? It's simply thunderous. That is the god from myths and legends on Earth. It was only when I came to the universe that I realized that the gods in myths and legends actually exist in the universe. And even the powerful empires that occupy several galaxies in the universe are afraid of this God King. She has also met many strong people in the universe, some who are not weaker than her, but they are also in awe of Odin. There is only awe and no fear, just because this God King has not been fighting in recent thousands of years, and has focused on maintaining peace in the 9 realms. Otherwise, I am afraid that the entire universe will fall into the war of this God King. Sure enough, I had heard of God King Odin. Phil Coulson was not surprised, but continued to point out the identities of Thor and others to Carol. Carol suddenly understood, son of Odin? Thor Odinson, god of thunder. The one controlling the destroyer armor is another prince, Loki Odinson. So, these are the 2 sons of Odin who came to Earth to play house. Although he said so, Carol's face became even more ugly. In Odin's eyes, a fight between children can be destructive to the Earth. If she hadn't seen that the destroyer hadn't used all his strength, she would have been unable to help but pull the destroyer into space. Suddenly she thought about this dimension, Odin is probably watching here. Thinking of this, the flames emanating from her body immediately dissipated. It's boring. Two princes fight and they haven't destroyed the earth yet. The God King has already done this. It's not easy for her to applaud her. By the way, I'm Nick Fury's friend, Carol Danvers. Who are they? Carol pointed to Magneto and others who looked at her solemnly. Hello, Ms. Danvers. I have never heard of this name. It seems that the other party is not recorded in the S.H.I.E.L.D information. Oh, they are some new extraordinary beings. Phil Coulson thought about it quickly in his mind, and then introduced them quickly. These two are the leaders of the mutants, Magneto and Charles, and the others are Jean Grey. Carol silently wrote down Jean's name. In her perception, there is a very powerful force lurking in Jean's body. If they all exploded, they would definitely be no less powerful than her and could easily destroy the planet. Then she looked at Hulk in the battlefield. Where is the big green guy wearing big pants? There are two big green guys on the field, but Hulk is the only one who looks pleasing to the eye and has great potential. As for the other one, what is that? The sticky phlegm spit out by an old lady turned into SN. Even for such an informal person like her, one look at it made her feel sick, and she didn't want to look at it a second time. She was afraid that if she couldn't help it, she would be destroyed by a hater of humanity. That is Hulk. He was originally Dr. Bruce Banner. He was irradiated by gamma rays in another experiment and produced a second personality, Hulk. Normally, he still lives in his original form, but when he encounters danger or is stimulated, he will turn into Hulk. Gamma rays? Not caused by Tesseract? There are other energies that can create such powerful people. Carol was slightly surprised, but she did not perceive the Tesseract's energy from Hulk. Unexpectedly, after not coming back for a long time, the Earth already has so many powerful warriors. Magneto's eyes flashed at the sight and he couldn't help but step forward. Excuse me, Miss Danvers, are there many races in the universe? Are they all very powerful? Professor, since the Earth is not suitable for mutants to exist, there are always suitable planets in the universe. With the power of mutant, if it doesn't work, just knock one off. If you are not a human on Earth, they will not be timid in doing so. Carol casually replied, many, most of them are not strong. Anyone who fights on the field can become the king of some planets. Not strong? Carol's words made Magneto and others' eyes light up. Their reaction made Carol look slightly sideways. You don't want to go to the universe to conquer the universe, do you? Professor X smiled bitterly and told Carol about mutants' past. Carol was immediately angry. What does Nick Fury do for food? We've all experienced alien invasions, but we still don't know the importance of our own strength. For a race as powerful as mutant, even if it is not cultivated, it should be protected and used as a force to protect itself. What has he done in these years when I was gone? Is this what he said about protecting the Earth? What a waste of protection. Mutant is being squeezed out? His strength is not used to strengthen himself, but he is being arrested and studied in front of his eyes? Nick Fury, you have changed. You are no longer the Nick Fury who wanted to protect the Earth. In anger, Carol's power leaked out, and the surrounding flames made the people around him breathless. Carol was restraining her strength before, but they, Neochians, didn't realize how powerful Carol was. But now, this leak has made it difficult for them to breathe. This, Carol Danvers, suddenly, they were shocked. This is not the powerful warrior born from the energy of Tesseract, as Mr. Ron said. No wonder they have never heard of it. It turns out that she is not on the Earth at all, and her body is across the universe. Ignoring the shock of Magneto and others, Carol jumped into the air. Nick Fury is in New York now, right? I'm going to find him for an explanation now. I have seen too much in the universe. Because the planet itself is not strong enough, it has been invaded and even slaughtered. The Earth actually rejects extraordinary beings who evolved from humans. Or even capture and study it. She must see what happened to this world and whether it is worth her to protect him. After leaving a message to Phil Coulson and others, Carol turned into a ray of light and disappeared from sight in an instant. In the void, Ancient One opened the door for her again and watched Carol leave. Earth, there are still many determined people protecting it, which is good. This will make it easier for me to step down. There was a hint of amusement in Ron's eyes. That's great. I don't know how Nick Fury, a guy with such a serious suspicion, will respond to Carol's questioning. This has nothing to do with him, because he sensed that someone was coming to his shop. Moreover, this person also attracted the attention of Odin and Ancient One. Chapter 67. Just as Ron was about to go back to the store, he suddenly saw the four girls Jessica arriving. After thinking for a while, Ron said to the Ancient One magician, let them go in and see the battle of the strong. Ancient One nodded calmly, and without seeing any movement from her, Jessica and the other four walked outside the mirror space without noticing, and then took a gentle step and walked in. The four people only felt their eyes blur, and the scene in front of them made their faces pale. The dilapidated ground and the terrifying aura in the air all impacted their hearts. Is this kind of battle really something they can participate in? The more you experience, the wider your horizons will be. When you go out, you will be more active in picking up equipment. Definitely, as for whether there will be any psychological shadow, it has nothing to do with Ron. He is now back in the decomposition shop. Ron's eyes lit up as he looked at Loki looking around in the store, holding the Eternal Spear. Did Odin not take back the Eternal Spear? Tisk tisk tisk, it's not my fault. A moment, if Loki wants to do something, it has nothing to do with me. Looking at Ron who suddenly appeared, Loki's eyes narrowed slightly. The owner of this shop? I am God, Loki Odin. Why don't you worship me when you see me? Ron. Ancient One, Odin. Ron couldn't help but raised his head and glanced. Odin, your son has been well educated. A fool who recognizes his father as soon as he comes up, and an arrogant man who makes him kneel down when he comes up, well, he is not as good as Thor, at least he will not offend anyone. I also have a daughter who has become a murderer. I don't know what it will be like to meet her, but thinking about it, it won't be much better. The Ancient One glanced at Odin, and the smile in his eyes was clearly visible. Well, it's not that big guys don't have mood swings, it's just that ordinary people don't deserve their exposure. They are never stingy when it comes to ridiculing people at the same level. Odin coughed dryly, well, you know, as a man, I am also a god king. Generally, they are outsiders, fighting all year round, and managing the 9 realms. It is normal to be a little neglectful in this regard. Frigga is usually the one teaching them, well, that's right, that's it. Frigga. In the sky of Void 327, a cold gaze cast down, glaring at Odin fiercely. Frigga is also a strong-level godfather, and can naturally see through the 9 realms. As for why he is so strong, let's not talk about anything else. He is weak in strength and cannot bear it in bed. It's like some people's fantasy book about Hulk and Natasha Romanoff. It's unrealistic and Natasha Romanoff can't stand it at all. It's almost the same if Natasha Romanoff is replaced by Gamera, Proxima Centauri or Supergiant will also work. There was a smile of approval on the faces of Ancient One and Ron. If you see through it, don't tell it off, friends will continue to do it. Midgardian, if I speak to you again, please kneel down quickly and offer your loyalty. Loki slammed the Eternal Spear in his hand to the ground. Hey! After it hit him, he was stunned. Not only did the collapse of the ground not appear as he expected. There wasn't even a hole on the floor of the store, it was intact. Ron's face suddenly darkened. No one can smile when facing someone who is much weaker than you, scolding or even insulting them all the time. If it were Odin, he would have slapped the opponent away by now. If he hadn't been slapped to death, he would have to praise Odin's kindness. Ron raised his hand and grabbed Loki. In Loki's eyes, Ron's hand was like a sun, pressing down on him, making him unable to move or take a breath. At this moment, he thought of someone, Odin. This Midgard man is a strong man comparable to his father Odin. Now it was too late for Loki to regret it. He used all his strength to activate the Eternal Spear. The Eternal Spear is indeed the weapon of the God King. Under endless pressure, it actually blooms with a trace of divine light. Loki's eyes just showed a hint of joy, but who knows, the divine light just turned on, and in the blink of an eye, it went out again. Loki's eyes were filled with disbelief, and his heart was filled with despair. The weapon of the God King is actually unable to resist in the opponent's hands. He is truly a strong-level godfather. In desperation, Loki suddenly shouted, I am the son of Odin, Thor is my brother, he just came here. After the shouting, the shop fell into silence. For a long time, the road base didn't even notice Ron's palm falling. He slowly opened his eyes and saw Ron looking at him with a smile. Still, Gjeba thought that Ron was afraid of Odin. Loki regained his composure again, but he didn't dare to be too arrogant anymore. After all, distant water cannot quench the near thirst, and no matter how powerful his father is, he is not around. If Ron really wants to take action, it is impossible to save him in time. However, his current cognition is completely different from that of normal people. Midgardian, I admit that you are very powerful, but I am the son of Odin. You cannot attack me, otherwise my father will find out and he will not let you go. Now, if you give me the machine that can disassemble the artifact, I won't blame you for your rudeness just now. Otherwise, when I go back, you, boom. Ron took back his hand, looked at Loki lying on the ground and said, if I don't give you a slap, you really don't know who the king of file size is. In my territory, you still dare to be so arrogant. Don't talk about you, even if God King Odin comes, he must follow the rules of my shop. You are the son of Odin, and you are yelling at me before you become the king of gods. You asked me to kneel down for you. Ask your father if he can let me kneel down for him. You asked me to give you a decomposition machine? Why don't you say that this universe belongs to you? If you go to hell and ask for Mephisto's head, will he give it to you? There is an old saying in the Dragon Kingdom, it is the father's fault if a son fails to teach. Thor almost called me daddy, so I will teach you for him. After saying that, Ron stretched out his hand and Loki flew in front of him and froze in midair. Snap! Ron raised his hand and slapped him. Do you know you're wrong? If you don't speak, it seems you don't know. Pop! Do you know you are wrong? Okay. Have some backbone. Pa, 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 pa. Loki, damn FK. You made me talk. You can't even blink except for breathing, how can I answer you? However, he could not say these words. Meanwhile, New York SHIELD. A ray of light stopped outside the building at a speed far exceeding the speed of sound. The sonic boom it carried directly shattered all the glass in the S.H.I.E.L.D. building. Carol was filled with anger and didn't care what it would do. She just wants to see what S.H.I.E.L.D., under the leadership of Nick Fury, has become. However, she was just angry and did not want to kill anyone. Under her control, the broken glass was annihilated by the energy she radiated. The S.H.I.E.L.D. building at Nottingham University is completely open to the outside world. Standing outside the building and looking inside, you can have an unobstructed view. Someone is making a scene. SHIELD requesting fire support. Requesting fire support. Various alarms sounded constantly in the building. At this moment, Nick Fury in the office looked confused. What happened? A.S.H.I.E.L.D. as big as me was attacked? He looked out the window. Carol. At the moment Carol also saw him, ducked and came to Nick Fury. Carol, what are you doing? The anger in Carol's eyes stunned Nick Fury. Carol's voice was low, let me ask you, do you know about mutant? Nick Fury was slightly thoughtful, he didn't know what Carol was asking about. What are you talking about mutant? What's going on? Carol's expression froze. Why ask her? Mutant being excluded is the biggest thing. Look at Nick Fury's expression, he takes this matter for granted, definitely. With her last patience for Nick Fury, she still asked. Did you know that mutant was ostracized? Captured, taken to the research institute, and dissected for research. Nick Fury was slightly startled, he knew, not only did he know, but he also knew who did it. But what does this have to do with Carol? As for Carol questioning him about these things? There was no need for him to answer at all, Carol got the answer from his expression. She took a deep breath, have you ever done anything like capturing a mutant for experiments? This is her final bottom line. If Nick Fury does this, Nick Fury will no longer get any support from her. Suddenly there were a lot of footsteps outside, and they rushed in and shot Carol. Carol's whole body was shaken by flames, and all the agents who rushed in flew out. Carol, don't do it. Nick Fury walked to the desk and picked up the phone. The alarm is cleared, it's one of our own. Then he waved to the agents who had just rushed in and asked them to go out. He also realized at this time that the source of Carol's anger was mutant. Although he didn't know why he was angry with him, he still explained. I haven't done that. I have a good relationship with one of the leaders of mutant, Professor X, whose real name is Charles Xavier. Many times, when I encounter extraordinary people who cannot solve the problem, I will hire them to help me solve it. I don't know why you are questioning me like this, but I hope we can sit down and talk about things. After all, we were comrades fighting side by side. After hearing Nick Fury's words, Carol breathed a sigh of relief. What she didn't want to see didn't happen, so that was fine. She looked at Nick Fury. Since you know how powerful the mutants are, why don't you help them? The Earth is already facing various dangers, and their strong strength is the best choice to protect the Earth. They are originally born out of humans, but just because of the emergence of super abilities, they are suppressed, excluded, captured, and harmed. This is not the human I know. Carol even thought about whether he would be the subject of research if he was not so powerful. This flashed through her subconscious, and although she didn't think about it in detail, it was one of the reasons why she was so angry. Nick Fury finally understood why Carol was so angry. Mutants are both super ability beings, but they have been captured, studied, and even listed as dangerous objects by humans. No one can ignore them. Not to mention a strong person like Carol. He sighed, there are some things that are beyond my control. Someone in the military is researching mutants and building war machines. S.H.I.E.L.D is backed by a big country and cannot stop it. It can only occasionally give Mutant Academy some financial support in the name of continued employment. Carol's face returned to normal at this time, and there was still a trace of anger left, not towards Nick Fury, but towards those guys who couldn't see the form clearly. I've seen those mutants. In the universe, their power can support a planet. It is a huge irony that this planet is famous in the universe, but on Earth it is in danger of extinction due to internal strife. Speaking of this, Carol paused. Calculate now, I've come back and watched it. The battle in New Jersey is the fight between the two princes of Odin. If there is no crisis of destruction, I will leave first. By the way, God King Odin is probably watching the Earth. Don't offend him, he is very powerful. After hearing Carol's words, the last doubt in Nick Fury's heart disappeared. Odin is real, and Thor is real too. This proves that Ron is telling the truth. It seems that we really need to change the way we treat extraordinary people. This world is destined to be dominated by extraordinary people from now on. Hearing Carol say she was leaving, Nick Fury quickly stopped her. Carol, don't leave yet. I asked you to come back this time because of another thing. I don't know, have you ever heard of Thanos, the overlord of the universe? Carol's expression changed slightly. Where did you know about Thanos? Nick Fury sighed helplessly. It was all true. Sometimes he really wished it was false, not just because he wanted to expose Ron. One person said that Thanos is eyeing the Earth and wants to come to the Earth to snatch the Tesseract. Come to Earth. Carol sounded slightly surprised, then waved her hand. That's okay. You don't know that the Earth belongs to one of the 9 realms and is controlled by Odin. As long as Odin is here, no one dares to take the Earth's attention. This was something she only found out after entering the universe. As for the Kree warships at that time, they only came to Earth to kill traitors and had no impact on the Earth. Otherwise, Odin's army will be waiting for them. Definitely, this is just what she thought if the Kree really planned to destroy the Earth. Then when they arrive, they will not come to outer space, but to the mirror space of the Ancient One. Carol said casually, but didn't notice Nick Fury's wry smile. I know everything you said, that person told us. What you don't know is that I also know that in addition to Odin, there is also a Sorcerer Supreme Asgardian Earth. But, they are both going to die, and Thanos is waiting for that moment. Odin is dying? Sorcerer Supreme? Never heard of it. Carol, why do I feel like I'm behind the times? I'm obviously the one who flew to the universe, so why don't I know more than Nick Fury who's on Earth? How does that person know so much? Carol was stunned and asked, who is that person you are talking about? Chapter 68. Ba bang bang. Do you know it's wrong now? Ron patted Loki's red and swollen face. It looked much more pleasing to the eye than the sharp-mouthed monkey cheeks before. It's just that the hooked nose isn't very good looking, but half of his rather heroic face was ruined by this hooked nose. Loki. Damn it, FK. Why don't you untie it for me? The Ancient One, who had been paying attention here, couldn't stand it anymore. Mr. Ron, he is still a child and is not sensible. Let him go this time. Ron. A child over 1,000 years old, he is more than 1,000 years old. With just his age and not his brains, he always competes with Thor for his favor and needs training. The Ancient One spoke, and Ron stopped embarrassing Loki. With a thought, Loki fell to the ground from mid-air. He was so blinded by Ron that he was suddenly let go and didn't react at all. Do you know you are wrong? Before he could recover, he heard a devilish whisper in his ear. Half an hour, half an hour. He was ravaged for half an hour. This damn Midgard man didn't know what despicable means he used. The blow didn't look heavy, but the blow on his body was painful. It's like it's been slapped on your soul, it hurts from the inside out every moment. Now his entire face is numb and he can't feel his presence at all. If the eternal spear hadn't barely been able to protect his body, his divine body wouldn't have been able to hold on, and he wouldn't have been able to save his teeth. Hey? You still admit your mistake? You have the backbone, and you are worthy of being the son of Odin. Before Loki could recover from his confusion, Ron couldn't help but tease him again. Loki was so frightened that he trembled and nodded quickly. I was wrong, I was wrong. He thought that after admitting his mistake, Ron would turn the page, but suddenly he heard what's wrong. Loki. My damn fault was that I shouldn't have come to your place. At the moment in the void, the Ancient One looked at Odin with a smile, and all the look in Odin's eyes fell on hers. Feeling distressed, but relieved. It's very complicated, very complicated. The Ancient One can generally understand that he has seen a lot during his travels, but he cannot empathize with her deeply. After all, he is a virgin who has been around for thousands of years. How can I understand Odin's psychology at the moment without even having a child? Although Loki is an adopted son, his purpose was indeed impure at first, and he wanted to control the giants of Jotunheim through Loki. He once said to Loki and Thor that you two were born to be kings, but then you fell in love for a long time. After all, there was a deep family relationship, and he didn't want to reveal Loki's life experience again. But no matter how profound it is, the king of Asgard is destined to be Thor, and he also focuses on cultivating Thor. Loki was mostly taught by Frigga, who had long regarded Loki as her biological child. As a result, the guilt in his heart deepened, making him almost never criticize Loki harshly. And it was this that made Loki feel the difference between himself and Thor. I don't know if Asgard has the concept that hitting is kissing, scolding is loving. Anyway, it seems to Loki that if Thor makes a mistake, you punish him, and if I make a mistake, I attract your attention, and you don't care about me. Although Odin is the God King, he is not omniscient and omnipotent, at least when it comes to being a father. None of the three children have been well educated. It can be said that each of them is a guinea pig. Hela pursues killing to stop killing and conquering all dissatisfied through blood. Well, this is a replica of Odin when he was young. The mistakes he realized through training Hela were all used on Thor. All the mistakes encountered when training Thor were changed in Loki. Just like Loki, he never fights and fights Thor, and he never stops. On this point, Thor said that he has a say. In the mirror space, the battle continues. To be precise, it was a 1v1 unilateral beating. The destroyer beat Thor. Fu Manchu and others found a place with a wide view below to watch the show. From time to time I would make a few comments. This punch is not good, the angle is wrong, and the armor is rigid if no one wears it. Hey, this kick is a bit like Frank's. It's just a few centimeters off. If it were a little more straight, Loki wouldn't have to worry about Thor competing for the throne with him. Seeing Thor covering his thighs with fear on his face, Bruce Banner glared provocatively and hated him as he spoke. Through Ron's guidance, he has initially gained Hulk's forgiveness. In order to establish a good father-son relationship with Hulk, his clever brain immediately thought of finding a common enemy for the two of them. Hatred is simply too suitable. If you use your mouth, you can't beat him with your mouth, and if you use your hands, you can't beat Hulk. In fact, Hulk originally hated another person, Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff. But I can't stand the fact that someone is good at tea. After a chat over tea, Bruce Banner doesn't feel anything, and the simple Hulk can't stand it anymore. Under Natasha Romanoff's output, Dazed nodded and forgave her. If Bruce hadn't been there, I don't know, the next moment he would have turned into a pure green-licking dog and been tricked into approaching Shield. Faced with Banner's provocation, Hatred tilted his head and pretended not to hear. Can't beat it, really can't beat it. Sometimes, life is so difficult, but bowing your head for a moment is just for a better tomorrow. Hatred cheered me up in my heart, suppressing the anger in my heart. Seeing the silent hatred, Banner smacked his lips and said, Hulk, look, that guy didn't even dare to talk back after being scolded by me. I guess that's good enough for me. Hulk. What? Banner's smile suddenly stopped. You want me to go up and beat up this bad guy? His dull eyes looked at Hate's wrists, which were thicker than his own waist, and then at his dry body. Hulk, I think we shouldn't always think about killing him. He has realized his mistake, so we should let him go. Mr. Ron said that there is an old saying in the Dragon Kingdom, you have to spare others and spare them. We have beaten him, but we can't chase him and bully him. Think about it, if we do this, wouldn't we be just like him, a bad guy? Do you feel right? Although what I say makes no sense, you should be able to listen to Mr. Ron's words. Hulk. Banner breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Hulk's response. Well, you are right, this world is not only filled with bad guys, but also loving people like Mr. Ron. So, we must also learn from Mr. Ron and give love to others. Hulk. Banner nodded repeatedly, yes, yes, Hulk has great power, but also great love. Hulk. Hulk. Natasha Romanoff. Banner, well, that's right. Don't always think about fighting, but more, what did you say? Hulk. Natasha Romanoff. Hulk, give your love to Natasha Romanoff. Banner's smile froze again. Hulk. Banner, you asked me to help you tell Natasha Romanoff, or we should discuss how to praise and hate. On the battlefield, Thor looked up to the sky angrily and roared, Loki, you have gone too far. Damn FK. In front of so many people, I almost punched him. It's simply unforgivable. Thor holds the Meow hammer in his hand and his eyes are red. I'm your brother. You actually want me to have no descendants? Huge amounts of anger filled Thor's heart, and before he noticed, his blood-red eyes suddenly turned silvery white, and streaks of electric light emitted outwards. Please give me flowers. However, just for a moment, it returned to its original state again. Thor didn't notice at all, and even if he did, he just thought he was angry with Loki and didn't beat Loki. The anger made his throat hurt. But all this fell into the eyes of Odin, the Ancient One, in the void. Sure enough, the child has to be beaten. I really don't know how Ron knows how to educate children when he is in his 20s. There was a hint of curiosity in Ancient One's eyes. She could travel through the timeline and had seen even a trace of Odin's past and future. Only for Ron, the past is blank and the future is even more uncertain. The smile in Odin's eyes almost overflowed. He didn't know if Loki would change, but Thor's change shocked him. The time to control the power of thunder was several years faster than before, which proves that Thor still has several years to grow up, and even if he is not as good as Hela, he will not be far behind. No longer like the original prophecy, Hela forced him to flee. And with Ron's decomposer, he doesn't have to worry about the impact of future changes. What Ron said to the Ancient One magician makes sense, the future is controlled by the strong. Well, he has insights, he likes it, he is worthy of being a level godfather in his 20s. Take more time to consult with Ron and share your experiences in educating children. Ron, what do you think? What is that? Oh, I understand. The sword in the queen's hand, Loki's body slashed, 12 swords in 1 second, the sword slashed. Loki is not perfect unless he becomes the third princess. As for Thor, the 7 wolves do not break defenses, and Gungnir is enchanted with healing so that he can recover while fighting. Thor and Loki shivered at the same time, both feeling that something bad was about to happen, but they both thought it was an illusion. What could be worse than now? And at the moment, in order to force Thor to activate his potential, Odin once again activated the destroyer. In the mirror space, Thor's screams echoed endlessly again. Loki, just wait. I will go back. Ah! Damn it! Hit my handsome face again. Stop! You can't kick me, you're not a slap in the face, right? As the saying goes, spanking a child on a rainy day means you are free to spank your child when you are free. Definitely, spanking your child will not be delayed even if it does not rain. The Ancient One was also very interested in spanking children. Just when she was about to say something to Odin, she suddenly perceived something. He turned his head slightly and looked in the direction of Ohio. At the same time, Odin also noticed it and glanced at it. Fisto's duplication. The Ancient One nodded, it's indeed him. Even from this far away, I can smell the stench of sulfur on his body. His target should be the Ghost Rider, which is the integration of the spirit of vengeance and Zatanos. Ancient One's eyes flickered slightly, the devil sometimes reaps its own consequences. Odin nodded, knowing what the Ancient One saw through the future, so he said no more. This is the abnormality of the ability to travel through time. There are countless opportunities to try, and a solution will always be found. This is also one of the main reasons why the lords of countless dimensions were defeated by the Ancient One. After all, if you know yourself and the enemy, you can win with your eyes closed. Suddenly, Odin perceived a powerful aura again. The owner of this aura is similar to Magneto, Professor X, and others, like the same kind, but older. At the moment he is slowly waking up and adapting to his own power zone. Odin estimates that when he fully controls his own power, he will almost be as strong as Thor now. According to Ron, it is galaxy level. Odin couldn't help but sigh, Midgard, what a magical local worker. Chapter 69. Egypt, small town. Apocalypse, who has just woken up, is looking at everything in this new world in the small town. His hands gently touched all the objects he didn't understand, and everything about these objects suddenly became clear to his mind. This was when he suddenly felt something. He turned his head and looked along the sky. That direction was New York. His many mutant abilities made him feel as if someone was watching him. Just when I was about to go find out, a strong wind suddenly blew in the small town, causing a deep sea. Looking over, I saw a young mutant girl using her ability. However, the reason for using ability is just to steal some money. Without God's rule, has mutant fallen to this point? Looking at the girl being chased, Apocalypse slowly followed her. This is the first mutant he saw after waking up. It has good potential and is worthy of being accepted as a knight by him, the new 4 horsemen of Apocalypse. And this girl is none other than the future Storm, Ororo Monroe. Following Ororo all the way to her residence, Apocalypse glanced at the Mystique wallpaper on the wall, and finally landed on the big head TV playing the TV series. Ignoring Ororo who kept talking to him, Apocalypse slowly walked over and reached out to touch the screen. Ororo looked at him in surprise, "What are you doing?" "Study." Apocalypse's slightly hoarse and low voice sounded slowly. "The weak have taken over the world, mankind has fallen into confusion, and they have all betrayed me. Now, I have returned." The last scene on TV was the scene where Magneto took the oath. "Where are you from?" Ororo looked at him with confusion, not knowing what Apocalypse was doing. Apocalypse stood up slowly, before mankind was lost. Pictures of when he ruled the world emerged in his mind. The world needs to be saved. Apocalypse slowly walked up to Ororo, raised his hand and put it on Ororo's face. Ororo stared at him warily, "What do you want to do?" "I want to make you stronger, my storm goddess." Apocalypse's voice was slow and slow, but the words she spat out shocked her. Before she could understand everything, suddenly, Apocalypse's hand burst out with surging energy, flowing into her body along the place of contact. Energy constantly improves Ororo's mutant potential. If there is a panel, it would be, experience value +1, +1, +1. Congratulations, your level has improved. But in the blink of an eye, Ororo's ability, which could only stir up sand and dust, grew to the point where he could condense storms with the movement of his hands and feet. Ororo looked at her hair that had completely turned white and her face that had become more beautiful in the mirror. She raised her hand and touched it in disbelief. "This is me? I, actually have, such a powerful power." Apocalypse did not disturb her, waiting quietly for her to fully accept her changes. He has seen this kind of thing too much. Every time he recruits a new 4 horsemen of Apocalypse, the selected mutant will do this. Therefore, Apocalypse is very patient, not to mention Ororo's ability is so powerful that it is worth his while to wait. It wasn't until Ororo regained her composure that Apocalypse spoke. "How, my knight? Very good, very powerful." Ororo looked at Apocalypse with burning eyes. There was a smile on Apocalypse's face. "Very good, then it's time for us to set off. God needs his believers to gather again to save the world together." Ororo nodded, "Follow your orders." Before he finished speaking, a purple space portal suddenly appeared in front of him. Apocalypse stretched out his hand to Ororo, "Let's go, my knight." As Ororo entered the portal, her eyes blurred, and when she saw her surroundings clearly again, her eyes widened. Stark building. This is actually Manhattan, New York. In just a moment, we are in Manhattan, New York? Apocalypse smiled at her, "Knight, your power is more powerful, you must learn to control it." When Ororo heard this, he nodded heavily and silently opened his clenched hands, only to see a whirlwind spinning on them, with wisps of lightning surrounding the whirlwind. Although it was only a dozen centimeters in her hands, as long as she thought about it, this whirlwind would turn into a 100-meter tornado in an instant and wrap up the entire Stark building. Apocalypse nodded with satisfaction, looked away from Ororo, and looked at New Jersey across from Manhattan. In the Egyptian town, he noticed the peeping eyes from here, without any cover. This made him feel provoked when he had just woken up. The powerful power made him fearless. No matter who he was, he must surrender at the feet of God Apocalypse. When he came to Manhattan, he finally determined his target, which was in New Jersey, where he noticed the energy cover. With a thought, the purple portal appeared again in front of the two people, and disappeared again in an instant. At the same time, the two Apocalypse disappeared. In the decomposition shop, Ron also noticed Apocalypse's energy fluctuations. It seems to be mutant. Does mutant have the ability to teleport through space? Red Devil? It's not like, that person's aura is very chaotic, and there is also a storm, lightning. Ron's eyes penetrated everything and fell on the two Apocalypse. When he saw the familiar clothes, his eyes suddenly lit up. Tisk, 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 leaks, cough. There are more and more people with super abilities, that's great. Inside the Stark building, sir, energy fluctuations are detected, just outside the building. Stark was stunned for a moment. Oh, I got it. J.A.R.V.I.S, there will always be lags in the energy flow of the nodes of this magic circle. Calculate where the problem is. Okay, sir. It doesn't matter what kind of energy fluctuations there are, the most important thing now is to create a new generation of magic armor. Later, he developed the anti-Lo, anti-Magneto armor. Opposing Ron is still too far away, and he doesn't even know how to do it now. As for whether the energy fluctuation will have any impact and destroy Manhattan, unless he is dead. In the underground world now, who doesn't know the situation in New York? Extraordinary people are everywhere. Those who dare to cause trouble will risk their lives? At the S.H.I.E.L.D base in New York, Carol, who perceived energy fluctuations, also looked slightly sideways. Subconsciously let go of perception and checked the information of the two people in Apocalypse. However, before she could see their faces clearly, she made an unexpected discovery. In an office at the S.H.I.E.L.D base, Sitwell was on the phone with Pierce. Our people were in Nick Fury's office and heard some conversations. The extraordinary woman seemed to be an old acquaintance of Nick Fury and asked him about mutant. Pierce wondered, old acquaintance? Why does S.H.I.E.L.D have no record of this woman? Based on their conversation, our people guessed that the woman came back from the universe. Sitwell's voice was solemn. And physically traveling across the galaxy. Hearing this, Pierce couldn't help but change his face slightly. Through the information Nick Fury collected from the disassembly shop, he learned about the division of strength levels. If you want to survive in the universe, you must at least be at the galaxy level, and across the Milky Way, sub-Heavenly Father, or even above. Pierce's tone was serious. Retell to me the conversation between them in detail. Sitwell's men did not hear everything clearly, but they also heard a lot of important information. Hearing Sitwell say that Carol's face changed slightly when he questioned Nick Fury about mutant. Although he didn't know what abilities Yetianfu had, he knew that if Carol was determined to investigate something, it would be difficult to cover it up. Sitwell, please ask all our people to stop their research on mutant, stay calm for a while, and then look at the situation. Sitwell nodded. What about that extraordinary woman? Pierce smiled confidently. Don't worry, since you have appeared, you are still Nick Fury's friend, so you can be used by us. Don't forget our identities. After controlling this Carol, mutant needs to be researched. If we could understand how mutant obtained ability, then all of them Hydra warriors would be superhumans. This world will still belong to them Hydra. The more Carol listened, the darker her face became. The more she listened, the angrier she looked at Nick Fury in front of her. Research on mutants? Didn't you say that there was no persecution of mutants? This is deception. Carol's gaze made Nick Fury confused. What's going on? What's going on? Auntie is coming, right? Damn it. Extraordinary women are also women. As long as you are a woman, your emotions are so elusive. Just as he was about to ask first, the pupil in his one eye shrank violently, reflecting Carol's image. Carol's body was covered in flames, transforming like a scion, and she glanced at Nick Fury coldly. "Wait a minute, let me see how you want to explain to me." As soon as the words fell, Carol went straight to the citadel he saw. Rampage all the way, encountering walls and passing through walls, bulletproof glass, and missile-proof doors. Under the impact of Carol's body, everything was like tofu, smashed into dregs. Citadel had just hung up the call and was about to give an order when suddenly his eyes lit up and his office turned into a panoramic skylight with 360-degree views. As for the floors above his office, Carol lifted it up with his hand, and the space energy surged, and suddenly appeared in the open space of the base square. The warrior born in Tesseract is born with a certain degree of spatial ability. In Odin's words, this is the origin of space. Although it was only a slight hint, it gave Carol the capital to break through to level single universe. Seeing Carol looking down at him, Citadel's breath froze, and an ugly smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "This, ma'am, what can I do for you?" Carol looked at him with cold eyes. "Who were you talking to just now? Are you conducting mutant research?" Citadel's heart was beating wildly. How did she know? Looking at the flames surrounding Carol, he suddenly realized that he had made a huge mistake. "I haven't changed my past habits, and I actually treat extraordinary people as ordinary people." A transcendent of Carol's level, would definitely have his own way of hearing his conversation. Obviously, Carol heard everything he said to Pierce just now. Now, when the other party comes to ask for help, he is in bad luck. However, Citadel, as a top Hydra agent with firm beliefs, will never reveal any secrets easily. Then, he felt his neck tighten and found himself being picked up by Carol. In the base square, on the roof of the two lonely buildings, Nick Fury fell into silence. Who can tell him what happened? Why, his good building, first the glass exploded, and now even the roof was blown off. Nick Fury considers himself suspicious and controlling, but he only wants to protect the Earth. Although the idea of researching mutant was once considered, it was never actually carried out, right? Besides, who doesn't have some thoughts when they see mutant? They are all human beings, but they suddenly have super abilities. Either through medicine or various energy radiations, or the genes in the body suddenly evolved. Don't you think that as an ordinary person, you shouldn't have ideas? So it's right to have ideas. That ancient Oriental country said, no one can be perfect in terms of his deeds but his heart. Well, Nick Fury really likes this sentence. He just has more ideas. What's wrong with him? Just as he was thinking wildly in silence, his vision suddenly went dark, and he saw Carol flying in the air with Citadel in hand. Just suspended in the air, looking at him coldly. Chapter 70. Director Nick Fury, who is she and why did she arrest Citadel agent? Rumlow held the weapon, stared at Carol, and shouted at Nick Fury. "Put down the gun, Carol is one of our own." Nick Fury ordered to the agent. However, after the words fell, he suddenly realized that there were only a few of them, and he hesitated and put down the weapons in his hands. Most of them still held their guns, especially Rumlow, who walked closer and shouted righteously. "Director, we can't let them put down their weapons. She caused a scene in S.H.I.E.L.D. and destroyed the base building. You should let her go without restraint." Nick Fury, "I can go to NMD. Can't put down the gun? Do you think the gun will still have any effect on her? Are you still trying to capture them? Capture one and let me see." Nick Fury's eyes swept across the group of agents holding guns, and finally landed on Rumlow, his expression flashing slightly. From all these emergencies, he noticed something was wrong. When did Rumlow have such great prestige in SHIELD? His words were even more effective than his director. No matter what, he still has Carol, A&D. Damn FK. Forgot, Carol is suffering from menstrual syndrome now. He looked at Carol and lowered his gaze, landing on Citadel's face. The look of despair on his face made Nick Fury slightly stunned and his one eye narrowed slightly. "Carol, can you calm down and tell me what happened? Why did you seize the Citadel agent?" Carol looked around and saw that Nick Fury was less angry. If he still couldn't see the situation clearly, all these years in the universe would have been in vain. Obviously, he, an old comrade in arms, thought he was the SHIELD director, but was unknowingly ignored by his subordinates. His expression softened a bit, and he explained to Nick Fury, he just talked to someone on the phone and told him to stop mutants' experimental research first. Speaking of this, Carol paused slightly, "Do you know about this or not?" Nick Fury couldn't help but look at Sitwell, frowned slightly, and fell into silence. Sitwell, one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. high-level agents. With Natasha Romanoff, no. A.S.H.I.E.L.D. executive on the same level as Hill. He came into contact with countless secrets. The most important thing is that he was recommended by Pierce. Nick Fury stared at Sitwell with one eye. Does Pierce know about this? Rumlow's eyes changed. Sitwell could die, but Pierce must not be exposed. It's not that he doesn't believe in Sitwell, well, he just doesn't believe it. He has always looked down upon Sitwell. He is timid and afraid of death, so he cannot be called a staunch Hydra warrior. And Pierce is one of the smugglers, so there is no comparison between the two. He kept looking at Carol and Sitwell, as if waiting for some opportunity. At the moment, when Nick Fury saw that Sitwell was not answering, he already had a guess in his mind, even if this guess was the last thing he wanted to see. Carol, I don't know about mutant research, but I will give you an explanation. Looking at Nick Fury's serious expression, Carol nodded, and the flames on her body dissipated and slowly descended. He landed on the ground and threw Sitwell away casually. I'll leave him to you, Fury, I don't want you to disappoint me again. Nick Fury looked at Carol solemnly, and was about to speak. Da-da-da. Several agents standing close suddenly raised their guns and shot him and Carol indiscriminately. FK. Nick Fury cursed angrily, sensing something was wrong, and hid behind Carol without hesitation. You, the director, are such a waste, he mocked Nick Fury unceremoniously. The energy in Carol's body spread out, forming an invisible wall. Ding 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 ding. Countless bullets hit it, flattened it, and fell to the ground. Carol raised his hand slightly, condensed an energy ray on his finger, and swept it towards the agent who was raising his gun to shoot. Dozens of agents were cut off in half with one finger, and their stumps were scattered on the ground with blood. No matter how angry she is on Earth, she won't kill anyone because this is her hometown. Do you really think she has been doing charity work in the galaxy these years and is easy to talk to? After killing everyone who took action, Carol moved his fingers slightly and directly cut off Rumlow's legs and hands. He also used energy to help burn his wounds to prevent excessive blood loss. Just now, those guys took action because he gave the order because he wanted to be as high as he is among these bastards. Nick Fury poked his head out from behind Carol and looked at Rumple, who had lost all his limbs on the ground. Crossbones Rumlow, a top field agent comparable to Natasha Romanoff, is actually an undercover agent. In addition to Sitwell, and most of the mid-level and low-level agents present. How many of these trademark S.H.I.E.L.D.'s? Nick Fury was numb at the moment, but as the director, he still had to figure everything out. At least, give Carol a satisfactory answer. Otherwise, I'm afraid his last trump card will be taken away from him. He took out a communicator, but after being unable to contact Phil Coulson and Natasha Romanoff, he had no choice but to find Hawkeye, who was on a mission in another state. After a long time, Hawkeye finally answered, Barton, I'll put the mission aside for now and come back. I think I've run into some trouble. Hawkeye's weak voice came from the other side, Boss, I think I also encountered some trouble. I was targeted by Mephisto. Nick Fury's face turned even darker. Damn FK. How come so many things happened at the same time? He looked at Carol. Carol, I have to trouble you again. Go to Ohio and rescue Agent Barton. After speaking, he paused and glanced around. Well, take me with you. Carol rolled her eyes, still so afraid of death. Nick Fury said nonchalantly, it's not like you don't know about this situation now. After all, you don't want my old buddy to die in an unknown way. Carol pointed at Sitwell and others. Then what should they do? Wait a minute, I ordered people to lock them up first, that's all we can do for the time being. Carol said impatiently, please, hurry up, I want to see the person in your mouth. Now that I've seen it, I have to go back to the Milky Way. The Milky Way has been in chaos recently. In a hotel in a small town in Ohio. Hawkeye touched his injured arm and grinned. Damn Mephisto, you bully the small, and you even use the fire of hell. Most of his left arm was necrotic and looked like charcoal. If he hadn't become an extraordinary person and had a super strong body, his whole body would have turned into ashes when the fire came down. Thinking of the phone call with Nick Fury just now, Hawkeye's eyes darkened. Nick Fury needs him back to support him, and I'm afraid he won't be able to wait for support from the Bureau. I can only think of ways to escape as far back as possible. As long as I get close to New York Fisto, I will definitely not dare to pursue him. Didn't it mean that Mephisto didn't dare to enter the earth with the presence of the Ancient One magician? What on earth is going on? Did he? Hawkeye's breath was stagnant, and he suddenly felt cold. Hey? Contactor? Barton, I have arrived near your position, where are you now? Nick Fury's voice. Has it been 5 minutes since I hung up? I've arrived from New York. He was about to answer when he suddenly heard a woman's voice from across the street. No need to ask, I found him. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt that there were 2 more people in front of him. One of them was Director Nick Fury, and the other was covered in energy flames. Just a trace of huge amounts of pressure left him breathless. Carol saw this and dissipated his energy. Tell me about the situation, what's going on? Hawkeye looked at Carol, and his questioning eyes met Nick Fury's. She is one of our own, her name is Carol Danvers, my friend and comrade in arms, she has just returned to Earth. Returning to Earth? Carol Danvers, such a familiar name. Hawkeye's pupil shrank, showing a hint of disbelief, but he knew now was not the time to ask such questions. I approached Ghost Rider in accordance with my mission and found out his identity. His name is Johnny Blazer, and he was originally a motorcycle stunt driver. In order to save my father's life, I signed a contract with the Demon King Mephisto and became a Ghost Rider worker, but Mephisto tricked him and cured his father of cancer, only to have his father die the next day performing a stunt. Then I convinced him and worked with him to deal with Mephisto. My hands were burned by Mephisto with the fire of hell. Nick Fury looked at his injured arm, which looked like charcoal in color, making him frown. How is it? Can it be treated? Hawkeye shook his head. I don't know, using the decomposition machine to strengthen the body should relieve the pain. I didn't ask you. Nick Fury looked at Carol. Carol, is there anything you can do? Hawkeye, Carol glanced at it. Nancy, there is an energy in his arm that is constantly eroding. Fortunately, he is strong, otherwise it would have spread throughout his body. As long as this energy is driven away, with his physique, it won't take long for him to recover. Carol didn't do any ink, and immediately fired him after saying that. Within a moment, a spark with a sulfurous smell was driven out of Hawkeye's arm by her. 330. It didn't take half a minute to feel the feeling in his arm again. Hawkeye's face lit up. Thank you. Carol waved his hand. Okay, now let's talk about Mephisto, where is he? And what about the Ghost Rider you were talking about? Why isn't he with you? Hawkeye's expression condensed. I don't know where they went. After I was injured, Johnny lured Mephisto away in order to let me escape. However, it's daytime now. Johnny can't transform, so he shouldn't be able to run far. It was precisely because it was daytime that Johnny couldn't transform, and it was entirely up to him to deal with Mephisto, so he was injured. If it weren't for the greed in Mephisto's eyes. He kept talking about delicious souls and wanted to sign a contract with him. He probably couldn't escape at all. Compared to Johnny Blaze, he didn't know that he was also being targeted by Fisto. Nick Fury nodded. Since you can't go far, Carol, please look for it again. With Carol's speed and perception, it wouldn't take half a day to find someone all over the world, let alone a small town. However, when he looked at Carol, he saw Carol's eyes looking in one direction. No need to look for it, he's already here. Nick Fury and Hawkeye were suddenly startled and quickly looked along, only to see an old man standing there holding a civilized staff. This old man is very familiar to Hawkeye. He is Mephisto. Mephisto. Carol alerted Hawkeye when he cleared his arm of energy. Able to exorcise his energy, Carol made him curious. Definitely, the premise of this is that he didn't detect the Ancient One's aura through energy, otherwise he wouldn't be curious, but would just run away. Following this feeling, he gave up playing cat and mouse with Johnny and turned around to find it. Then, eye contact with Carol. What a strong human being. What a weak demon king. As soon as the words fell, Carol flashed in front of Mephisto, grabbed him by the collar, and rushed into the sky. Nick Fury, Hawkeye. Originally knowing that Mephisto's strength ranked 4th, Nick Fury was worried that Carol couldn't beat him. Now, is there something wrong with this plot? Chapter 71. In the sky, 2 figures kept chasing and flashing. Although Nick Fury's gaze could not keep up with Carol and Mephisto's speed. But it can be judged based on the energy attributes that Carol has the upper hand. 2 energy lights and shadows collided, and each time the figure exuding reddish-brown energy kept retreating. Carol, represented by blue-gold energy, is constantly knocking it away, chasing it, and knocking it away again. You are very good, human. Seeing the reddish-brown energy getting weaker and weaker, Mephisto burst out with powerful force and stopped Carol from continuing to attack. This is just a duplication of mine. After it dissipates, I will know everything. Your soul is delicious and I will find you. Mephisto felt aggrieved. If he wasn't afraid of the Ancient One, how could he be suppressed and beaten by a human who had just entered level Godfather? Damn Sorcerer Supreme! Carol's doubts were solved, and it turned out to be just a duplication. I will wait for you. I hope you will be in your true form next time and not be so vulnerable. As you wish. Mephisto's eyes showed a trace of unwillingness. It is very simple to make a duplication, but it costs a lot to sneak into the earth. Only in this way can we escape the blockade of the three holy places and the detection of the Ancient One. As Mephisto's body dissipated, the reddish-brown energy turned into nothingness. Meanwhile, New Jersey's battlefield. Apocalypse took Ororo outside the mirror space, raised his hand, and slowly stretched forward, but he didn't touch anything. Is there something? Ororo was confused and reached out to touch it. There is a force like a barrier that separates a space. It's magical. You can feel it, but you can't touch it. Apocalypse explained hoarsely. And just as he finished speaking, a hole suddenly opened in the mirror space in front of him. Apocalypse's pupil shrank, and then a smile appeared. It seems that the owner inside is very enthusiastic. After saying that, he took Ororo and stepped in. In the void, Odin looked at Apocalypse with a trace of surprise on his face. When I first perceived it, I had just entered the galaxy level, but as time went by, Apocalypse's power actually approached that of Yatianfu. Moreover, the ancient aura on his body resembles that of a person from at least thousands of years ago. Midgard is really a mysterious place. First there was Agamotto, then there was Ancient One, and a Dormammu came out. Now Ron and Carol have appeared again, and another Apocalypse has appeared. It is obviously a mortal world, but it is no less than Asgard. The Ancient One looked at him with an inexplicable smile. I think you should care about your son, otherwise you will regret it later. Son? Odin looked at Thor. Well, he was being beaten. The more he was beaten, the stronger he became. Isn't this great? I seem to have forgotten something. Loki. Sure enough, if you are not your biological child, you will always be unable to remember it. Odin looked at the decomposition shop fiercely, only to see that Ron had closed the decomposition shop again at some point. He could not perceive the human condition inside at all. Thinking that Loki had opened his mouth to ask for the decomposition machine, Odin's expression changed, his figure flashed, and he suddenly appeared at the door of the disassembly shop. Feeling a little uneasy in my heart, I quickly opened the store door. Ah! Waves of roars continued to reach my ears. When you see clearly what's going on inside, it starts a few minutes ago. Luoji succumbed to Ron's power. Ron also happened to perceive the emergence of Apocalypse, and there was an extra big leak. Ron was in a good mood and finally stopped torturing Loki. Instead, he focused on the eternal spear in Loki's hand. Do you want to become stronger? Do you want to be recognized by your father? The decomposition mechanism can help you. As long as you decompose the eternal spear, the powerful energy inside will make you comparable to your father. This was the reason why Loki came here. The two worked together and quickly reached a consensus. Eternal Spear Gang near grade, pink note, the artifact of God King Odin was made by the forging master of the dwarf tribe. The tip of the gun is engraved with rune characters, and the handle of the gun is a branch of the world tree, which has powerful penetrating power. 1 decomposition successful. Benevolent fighting wool *20. Firm wool to destiny *10. Body of destiny and life *1. Origin of destiny *1. Shining colorless large crystal blocks *2. Do you understand extraction? Then when Odin came in, he saw this scene. The eternal spear is gone. The familiar energy source is emanating from Loki. Well, it can be said that Loki is the eternal spear now. Loki! Odin shouted angrily. Dad! After seeing Odin, Loki was happy at first, and then stood there like a child who had done something wrong, forgetting even the pain caused by the increase in strength. Seeing Loki's appearance, most of the anger in Odin's heart dissipated. Just seeing the energy source of the eternal spear makes me feel heartbroken. His friend who has been with him for countless years is gone. It's so heartbreaking to be such a BD. The eternal spear has accompanied him in countless battles, even though it has little effect on him now and is more of a symbol. He didn't think about changing a weapon. He had been thinking about how to upgrade the eternal gun. This time, it was easy. With the eternal spear on one side and his son Loki on the other, Odin was a little uninterested for a moment. Dad, at this time, Loki had also absorbed all the energy of the eternal spear and slowly walked to Odin. Odin glared, "No, I'm not your father. Your uncle has been broken down by you, and you still call me dad. I don't deserve it." What he didn't notice was that at the moment, Loki's expression kept changing, and his eyes flickered with disbelief. Under the huge amounts of energy of the eternal spear, he could perceive his true bloodline. "Yes, you are indeed not my father, Odin, the god king of Asgard. How could you have a son of giants of Jotunheim?" Odin's expression flashed, "You are my son. After that battle with the giants of Jotunheim, it's not just the casket of ancient winters that you brought back to Asgard." Loki looked at Odin. Although he was asking a question, his tone was filled with certainty. He had guessed everything. "I finally understood why Odin never criticized me in his eyes. It turned out that he was not his biological son." Odin's eyes didn't dodge. "Yes, I also found a baby. The baby is so thin that he does not look like a giant. It is precisely because of this that he was left behind." Hunger made him cry non-stop, but no one paid attention. He was helpless, desperate, and painful, waiting for death to come. And he was Lao Fei's son. Lao Fei's son. Loki's expression changed again, and his breathing became rapid. He couldn't accept it. If he were an ordinary Giants of Jotunheim baby, it would be easier for him to accept it, but how could he be the son of Odin's greatest enemy? The son of King Giants of Jotunheim. Loki's expression changed and he looked at the earth. "You killed countless giants of Jotunheim, why did you let me go and bring me back?" Odin's eyes showed love, "You are innocent." Loki, "No. You have other goals, right? I, the son of King Laofey of Giants of Jotunheim, you want to control the Giants of Jotunheim clan through me, right?" Faced with Loki's shouting, Odin was about to explain. Bang! Loki was slapped to the ground. Ron withdrew his slap and looked at Odin. "The child should be beaten more often. What's the point in telling him? After beating him, let him know who the king is, and he will listen." Loki was silent. The anger he was filled with just now turned into bubbles and was slapped away by Ron. Ron nodded with satisfaction. "Look, isn't this honest? I see your father didn't beat you very much before." Seeing the dissatisfaction in Loki's eyes, Ron asked, "Have the God King and Queen ever treated you badly in these thousands of years? Have we ever treated you differently from Thor? Have we ever mistreated, failed to cultivate, or ignored you because you were not our biological child?" Loki opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Odin almost never beat him. Frigga treated him better than Thor. Thor always treated him as a younger brother and protected him in everything. Ron patted him on the shoulder. "There is a saying in my hometown. If you nourish it while it is alive, you can restore it by cutting off your head. If you feed it if it is born but not nourishing, you can restore it by cutting off your fingers. If you nourish it before it is born, it will be difficult to restore it in 100 lifetimes. You are not qualified to question your father, even if he did have other thoughts when he adopted you." Loki was shocked as Ron's words kept repeating in his mind. Raising the son of an enemy before he was born, wasn't he the one he was talking about? "But I am the son of King Laofey of Giants of Jotunheim, no. I am Loki. Odinson. Loki is smart, but smart people always like to get into trouble. Without Odin, Laofey would not have wanted a weak child like him. He felt fatherly love in Odin, and he was proud to be Odin's son." He raised his head sharply and looked at Odin. Bang! He was slapped to the ground again. Loki raised his head and glared at Ron angrily. "What are you doing?" Ron clenched his fist and looked down at him. "What? I just want to hit you. Besides, I just sealed more than half of your power. Go and get beaten like Thor. The more you get beaten, the more your power will be released." As he spoke, he waved to Loki. When Loki saw clearly, he suddenly found that he had arrived at the battlefield between the destroyer and Thor. It almost turned into a big brawl, with the destroyer chasing Thor in the sky and beating him. On the ground, Mutant and the Extraordinary are fighting with Apocalypse and Ororo. To be precise, Apocalypse is a kind of music that Magneto, Professor X, Mutant, Frank, and others praised. Ororo turned into a fangirl and was talking to the idol Mystique. Loki attracted almost everyone's attention as soon as he appeared. There was no other way, so Ron talked to the Ancient One and put him in the most conspicuous position. Even Thor, who was being beaten, saw him. Loki. UBD. Loki rolled his eyes. You idiot. Ah. Loki, I must beat you up. Thor shouted, running straight towards Loki regardless of the destroyer chasing after him. At this moment, he felt that his whole body was full of power, and even the destroyer could not stop him. The anger towards Loki caused Thor's eyes to turn silver white, sparkling with lightning, and endless lightning emerged from his body. The lightning was spread behind his head like hair, and his cloak completely turned into thunder. The Meow hammer in Thor's hand swung out a thunder and lightning storm, making Ororo look sideways. Because Thor's thunder power exploded, activating the power in her body. Almost subconsciously, Ororo's eyes turned silver white, and the storm slowly emerged around her, dragging her into the air. A storm surrounded by thunder and lightning, Ororo met Thor. Loki looked at this scene, raised his eyebrows, and shrugged at Thor. Looks like you're in trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, his expression suddenly changed, and for some reason, the destroyer appeared in front of him brandishing an iron fist. With one punch, Loki hit the ground like a meteor. A large crater, King Neos, with a diameter of hundreds of meters suddenly appeared on the ground. Loki was lying in the middle of the crater, looking miserable, but not injured. Before he could get up, a red pillar of high-temperature light swept towards him. Damn FK! Loki cursed angrily and quickly cast magic, leaving a fake duplication in place. The main body had already transformed and moved hundreds of meters away. Just when he thought he had escaped disaster, the destroyer's hollow face suddenly turned his head and looked straight at him. His face turned fiery red, and a blazing beam of light shot out. Fake! 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 Loki cursed angrily, not knowing who he was scolding. After decomposing the Eternal Spear, he had a power zone close to the peak of Yatianfu. Being sealed by that BD Ron, now he is only in the early stage of Yatianfu at most. The destroyer's punch was just enough to hurt, but at most only cause minor injuries. That BD just wants to see him get beaten. When he breaks the seal, he must take it back. The seal was set by Ron, and he seems to be unable to defeat it. Then how should I take revenge? As Loki dodged, he was suddenly stunned, and was kicked to death again in desperation. That's right. I just disassembled an Eternal Spear, which made him so powerful. If he disassembles a few more pieces, there seems to be a lot of good things in Father's treasure house. Most of the treasures paid tribute by various races were piled aside and could not be put on the table. The ones that Odin valued were all at the level of Casket of Ancient Winters. Then, can he go into the treasure house and get some? Or, steal the Casket of Ancient Winters? By the way, there is a glove made by the dwarf clan. My father seems to treasure it. It should be a good thing. Therefore, if a child is too timid, he or she will be beaten less. Chapter 72. The destroyer's one-sided beating of Loki ended with Loki being knocked unconscious without checking. After Thor felt the provocation to the god of thunder in Ororo, he showed absolute power. He was like the center of thunder in the world. Thunder surged out of his body, turning half of the sky into silvery white. Pointing at Ororo with the Meow hammer in his hand, the galloping thunder turned into a giant hammer and struck down on the storm. If Odin hadn't taken action and blocked Thor's attack, Ororo would have been killed by a hammer on the spot. Thor, whose potential has been partially stimulated, is simply not something Ororo can compete with. People with the power of the thunder and lightning are proud, but from now on, Ororo will never resist Thor. It can be considered that the upper level suppresses the lower level. After seeing this, Odin wanted to keep Ororo with Thor as a helper. It's a pity that there are too few people who can release thunder and lightning. If there are enough, we can gather a personal guard team for Thor. Loki? I almost fainted. Sure enough, it's because we're not our biological children? The last apocalypse was when Carol was kicked back and became her prisoner. The poor mutant god had just woken up and not even a day had passed before he was captured. With the end of the Two Princes play, all the extraordinary people once again returned to the track of finding equipment, dismantling it, and becoming stronger. In the decomposition shop, Ron sat on the boss's chair with his eyes closed, silently feeling the recent promotion. Among them, what made him most curious was the origin of fate, the origin of luck. It was actually related to fate. In his previous life, he was deeply baptized by myths and legends. Destiny and chaos, having anything to do with these two, are the top treasures. Ron now has two identities. Unlike the origin of chaos, the origin of destiny cannot grow slowly on its own. It didn't add much to his own strength, but it gave him a rough guess about what was going to happen in a short period of time. For example, he can feel that someone is coming soon, and his strength will be greatly improved again. But he won't know who is coming after a while. After all, it's just a hint of fate, not prediction. Ron subconsciously turned on the TV, and there was a big picture of Tony Stark directly on the TV screen. As the TV screen zoomed in, Ron saw clearly where Tony was, the Monaco racing scene. Iron Man's second villain, Ivan Vanko? No wonder I suddenly had a whim. It turned out to be like this. Is this a trace of the origin of fate? Ron thought about the original plot. Ivan Vanko, wearing a simple exoskeleton-like armor, rushed onto the track and caused a little trouble for Tony. No one else would dare to wear that exoskeleton armor for fear of leakage. As Ron recalled, the race started and a man in work uniform walked onto the track. With a flick of the lightning whip in his hand, a racing car was split into two. Behind the car, Tony witnessed this scene, his pupil shrank, and a smile appeared on his face. That's great. I was worried that the new armor was ready, but I didn't have a chance to try out its performance, so here it is. Although the chest injury has healed, Tony is still used to sticking the miniature arc reactor here. Stop the car and tap lightly on the arc reactor to activate the summoning magic circle engraved inside. A battle armor roared from midair and landed in front of Tony. With a click sound, the armor disintegrated, and then an energy array lit up, and the armor wrapped around Tony to form a unified body. The appearance of Iron Man caused fierce shouts at the scene. The corners of Ivan Vank's eyes twitched, and he really looked like a rag picker. Focusing on the reactor on Tony's chest, it's a bunch of flashy things that can do nothing but waste energy. He raised the whip in his hand and whipped it at Tony. Tony raised his hands in a fighting posture, clenched his fists, and two red circular energy arrays appeared on his fists. The red ring of Ragator. He was not idle during this period. While his armor was constantly being upgraded, he also specially asked Frank for combat training. With his powerful physical fighting skills, it can be said that he can challenge Ivan Vank physically. But after all, he is a rich man and a playboy. His body can bear it, but his clothes cannot, because his embarrassment does not suit his personality. For the first time, Tony did not use J.A.R.V.I.S to control the suit, but faced it on his own. He raised his fist to block the whip, waved his other hand slightly, and the red ring turned into a magic whip. I also have a whip, so you can also taste the feeling of being whipped. Tony's series of changes shocked Ivan Vank. How did he do it? Why did he change his methods so much? Looking at the oncoming magic whip, he quickly waved the whip to resist. Whoa! Tony didn't change his move, and the two whip shadows collided directly. When Tony saw this, he exerted force on his hand, and Ivan Vank was pulled directly over. Lifting his foot, this kick directly knocked the armor on Ivan Vank's chest into reaction and kicked it into the chest. Looking at the weakened Ivan Vank, Tony blinked. Is he already so strong now? He felt that the opponent fell down before he exerted any force. Sir, your physical strength has reached hundreds of tons. With the support of the armor, you didn't kick his upper body down. His armor's defense is already good. Tony was stunned for a moment. It turned out that I was so powerful. J.A.R.V.I.S, you can tell bad jokes now, but they are very nice. Say more of this in the future. On the other side, Ron turned off the TV. A villain who held up the entire movie is just gone. The world has really changed a lot. These are all changes brought about by him, but they are also reasonable. As he said, the future is in the hands of the strong. If it were still the same Tony, although there was a near miss this time, both he and Pepper were almost whipped to death by Ivan Vanko. But this time, Ivan Vank was kicked to death without causing any trouble. This is not because Tony is stronger. Even if he is strong enough, when the Chitauri invade, he can block the big hole in the sky by himself and kill as many as he comes. Even if Thanos comes, he can slap Thanos into the vegetable garden and become a leek. Mr. Ron, excuse me. At this time, Odin opened the door and walked in, followed by Thor and Loki. God King Odin. Ron raised his eyebrows and greeted him, JDF. Then he nodded to Thor and Loki. It turned out to be these three people, no wonder they sensed the need to improve their strength. It is impossible for the Ancient One to come. Her indifferent temperament makes her uninterested in many things. In addition, Ron heard that a neurologist had recently been involved in a car accident, and he observed 3 seconds of silence for the neurologist. As a result, Gushi would have no time to wander around. The only other force on Earth, Carol, who is still in SHIELD, can improve him a little, but not much. Looking at Ron's gaze, Loki's eyes twitched. He felt like he was suffering from Ron's stress disorder, and his face hurt when he saw Ron. Thor, on the other hand, smiled and waved to Ron, Uncle Ron, I'm going back to ask my mother to call you uncle. Ron, you are over 1,000 years old and I am in my 20s, so you call me uncle? Is this appropriate? Besides, if you call me uncle, how can I attack your sister? Isn't this just a random thing? There is no blood relationship. Seeing the change in Ron's expression, Odin's eyes moved slightly and he smiled. It's okay, everyone has their own issues. Strength is the foundation. Your strength is not weaker than mine, and your views on things are better than Thor's. It's appropriate to call you uncle. He agreed with Frigga's proposal, and he liked Ron, and Thor didn't object. Everyone was happy. Only Loki's eyes twitched even more. Ron was speechless. Forget it, just call him uncle. Well, I don't have a meeting gift. Well, you can use the decomposition machine as you like. By the way, you have to pay for it. There is no discount. Thor. Odin still smiled and said, Ron, I have something to trouble you this time. I want Thor and Loki to stay in Midgard for training. The Ancient One magician said that you would be more suitable. Looking for me? I never leave the door every day, and they are following me. How can they get a lot of experience? Ron waved his hand directly, the earth is so big, let them roam around, there is no threat anyway, and I don't need them here. Thor's potential was partially stimulated, and his strength reached level sub-godfather. Loki was even more ruthless, decomposing the eternal spear, and his strength reached the level of Yaking Jiaotu. No matter how hard you try, if you run into the universe, you can compete with Thanos. The two of them, one behind the other, surrounded Thanos. You are the purple potato spirit, you want to kill half of the people you see? Come and kill me. Odin looked at Ron and smiled, it doesn't matter, you can let them be your doorman. The Ancient One magician said that only with you can they experience battle and gain experience. Do you want to gain experience with me? Ron was about to refuse when he suddenly felt something. Is the source of fate reminding me? Ron was stunned, are they really destined to me? He thought for a moment, then nodded, okay, let them work as doormen here, and agree in advance that they will not be paid. Odin didn't mind, but said to Ron, if you need anything, you can ask them to notify Heimdall at any time, and I will arrange for someone to deliver it. This set of tricks made everyone numb. What is this for? You don't really want him to be your son-in-law, do you? The destiny induction is to help him find a wife? Let Thor and Loki establish a good relationship with him in advance? Can you just mention the dowry? He looked at Odin, their eyes meeting each other, is it really just an experience? Odin nodded, it's just practice. Having said this, the God King hurriedly sent it to him. After repeated requests, Ron no longer refused. Just like that, the decomposition shop had 2 more doormen. He was said to be a doorman, but in fact he just sat there every day and nothing happened. They don't need to look at the door, they don't need to clean the house, and if someone comes occasionally and knows them, they have to rush to say hello to them. If Odin hadn't disassembled a piece of equipment before he left, he would have really wanted to drive Thor away first. The eternal fire grade, pink, well, it's the fire that resurrected Suturt, the flame giant who destroyed Asgard. The sunstone in Odin's body cannot compete with the casket of ancient winters. As time goes by, sooner or later, they will be suppressed by the power of casket of ancient winters. And he didn't have enough chaos origin in his body, so he thought of the eternal fire. Decomposition successful. Hot eternal will *10. Poly yang body *10. Origin of flame *1. Shining colorless large crystal block *1. Do you want to withdraw immediately? But Ron still received 10 times the reward, and his strength took another big step towards the peak of level Godfather. Chapter 73. At the moment, an underground station in London. Frank was complaining to Matt, ever since Mutant found out about Mr. Ron's shop, it's no longer possible to get so much equipment at one time. Anyone who has any effect on us must at least be blue equipment, but there are so many top talents. Matt was also very helpless. He was blind, couldn't carry a detector, and had no right to speak. Bored, Frank glanced at the people waiting in the subway station, pressed the detector button, and at a glance, everything was white. Hey! Matt! Frank growled, blue, green. That black man, the one in front of you on the left, do you see it? Do you feel anything unusual about him? Matt was stunned. Front left, so close? His perception was maximized, and in an instant the entire subway station was invisible to him. He suddenly discovered that there were many people with extraordinary abilities in this subway station. Dong dong! Dong dong! Strong heartbeats came from dozens of people. The heartbeat sound was obviously different from ordinary people, and the violent heartbeat sound also meant that the opponent's body was strong. He quickly said to Frank, "It's not just him, if you look more, I found many extraordinary people." "A lot?" Frank's eyes were filled with joy and he looked around hurriedly. "Damn FK! Sure enough there are so many." The huge amounts of surprise prevented him from noticing that the group of people looked wrong. He stopped and wanted to communicate with one of them. Suddenly, a black man shouted, "Vampire!" He turned around and saw the black man taking out 2 submachine guns from his jacket and shooting directly. Da-da-da! The bullets were pouring towards the other person he saw wearing green equipment. There was no concern at all that this was a busy subway station, and countless people waiting for the subway fled in all directions. Everyone was running for their lives, but Frank and Matt, who were still standing there, stood out. Frank asked Matt in surprise, "Did they call them vampires just now?" It was a noisy subway station, and his attention was not here just now, so he couldn't hear clearly. But Matt's hearing was far beyond his, and he nodded and replied, "Yes, it is indeed a vampire." Frank's face showed surprise, "I didn't expect such a thing to exist. Then the troops fighting them are dedicated to eliminating vampires? It doesn't look like it. The tactics are stretched, there is no coordination between each other, the bullets are simply fired randomly, and there is no accuracy at all. Well, the strength and speed don't look like ordinary people. Matt doesn't understand any tactics or coordination. He is very busy right now. Many of the bullets fired randomly have hit innocent ordinary people. He is now busy saving people." Frank is not surprised by Matt's behavior because he is a virgin. He has made a treaty with Matt. The two are friends, but they both have their own rules of conduct. After an incident occurs, no one can interfere with the other. Originally, Matt didn't agree, but after seeing the end of hatred, he agreed. Frank curled his lips, "If you have time to save people, why not defeat these guys quickly?" They were standing there shooting, and they fired who knows how many bullets every second. Matt heard Frank's voice very clearly, but if he had the same idea as Frank right away, he wouldn't be the great virgin. At this time, the shooting escalated again, and the two parties attacking each other suffered casualties. I saw the strong man firing 2 submachine guns continuously. Suddenly a man rushed out from the side, pointed at the target of the black man's attack, took out his pistol and fired 2 shots. Bang bang! The man was shot and fell to the ground before he had time to dodge. Frank was stunned. How could an extraordinary person be shot to death with a pistol? If he read it correctly, it was shot from the side. It seemed to have hit the ribs, right? At most, it hurt the lungs. However, at this moment, something abnormal happened to the man on the ground. Purple lines appeared on his body, and the look on his face became ferocious, as if he was experiencing huge amounts of pain. At this time, a woman wearing a black leather jacket and a black windbreaker suddenly walked out, holding 2 guns and shooting wildly at the black man. The black man dodged and hid behind a pillar, taking the opportunity to change the magazine. As soon as he dodged, Frank appeared on a line. Frank instantly became a target, and countless stray bullets flew towards him. Frank's expression remained unchanged, he raised his hand, swatted the bullets away, and pinched one. He put it in front of his eyes and looked carefully. "Hey? Is there mercury in it?" Matt heard Frank's soft voice of surprise. "According to legend, mercury is the best weapon against werewolves." "Vampire? Werewolf?" Frank glanced at the injured innocent passers-by around him. "Matt, tell me, Are there any vampires and werewolves? Matt was silent for a moment. He didn't understand what Frank meant, but in perception, both parties killed without any scruples, which made him not have a good impression of them at all. He said solemnly, "You can do whatever you want, don't worry about me." Frank grinned, "No, I don't want to kill them. What do you think if we arrest them and provide them with special equipment? A group of guys who live in the darkness of the world are said to feed on humans. I think letting them provide us with equipment is their last value. Whether it feeds on humans or not, Frank and Matt don't know, but they all see it attacking humans unscrupulously. Such guys, inhumane destruction is a mercy to them." Matt didn't say a word, and the smile on Frank's face became even brighter. If it was to be killed directly, he wouldn't tell Matt, but if it needed to be captured, he would have to tell Matt. After all, it would be very troublesome for him to do this kind of thing alone. At the moment, everyone on both sides ran to the train, and Frank immediately took action. He jumped onto the rails and caught up with the train at an astonishing speed. He put his foot down hard, jumped, broke through the carriage, and rushed in. Follow the location of the two parties in perception. Suddenly, two people, one black and one white, fought and rushed out of the carriage. The black man's body shape changed instantly and turned into a werewolf standing on its legs again. The white man opposite opened his mouth, revealing the fangs in his mouth. With the roar of the two men, they rushed towards each other at the same time, fighting again. Frank, who was still in the car, saw this scene and curled his lips in disdain. This is a werewolf vampire? So weak. Even before he strengthened, he was sure to defeat them. Please give me flowers. Frank just glanced at the two of them and stopped looking at them. There were more scum waiting for him to clean up. After catching a few, ask them about the location of their lair. By then, no one will be able to escape. Thinking of this, Frank rushed forward without looking back. Rushing to the center of the battlefield, he lifted one of the two sides who were still fighting fiercely, breaking their spines. Vampires and werewolves have powerful recovery abilities, and this injury only makes them temporarily lose their ability to move. Frank could sense that as long as they were given time, they would recover. Without wasting any time, Frank kicked them all off the car one by one. Tear off their clothes, roll them into ropes, tie them up one by one, and drag them back along the railroad tracks. Who are you? As long as you let us go, you will gain the friendship of vampires. A white man among the vampires spoke to Frank. Frank glanced at him disdainfully and didn't reply. Friendship? A group of guys whose only job is to produce equipment is worthy of talking about friendship with him? On the way back, I also passed the vampire and werewolf who had jumped out of the car to fight. Frank went up and punched twice more, and two more people were dragged behind him. When he returned to the original subway station, Matt was still giving first aid to the person who had been shot. Bang! Frank threw the vampire and werewolf casually. I think we need to call in some backup and get these two bastards out of their dark lair. Matt looked at Frank and nodded in silence. Frank contacted Peter and Luke Cage, and after some thought he decided not to call Jessica. The three of them agreed without saying a word. Finally, he looked at Tony Stark in the address book and dialed out. It takes a big place to capture vampires and werewolves. Among the people Frank knows, the only one who has this ability and is likely to help him is Tony. Nick Fury? He couldn't believe it. The relationship between the two is just that of partners. Ever since his CIA boss borrowed the corpses of his comrades to transport special items, he would never trust agents again. Frank? What do you want from me? Tony's voice came from the phone. I need your help, Tony. Frank's voice was low. Help? Lack of money? JARVIS transfer 5 million to Frank's account. Frank's eyes twitched when he heard Tony's casual words across from him. I have to say, people who are so close to others are so FG lovable. Without saying a word, I will send you money first. Who wouldn't want to find a friend like this? Thinking of his own business, Frank quickly said, It's not that I'm short of money, I captured a bunch of extraordinary creatures and I need you to help me prepare a place for them to be detained. Extraordinary creature. Tony's voice was obviously slightly surprised on the phone. What? Vampire, werewolf? Frank replied. Vampire? Werewolf? Tony was stunned. Wait for me, I'll go find you right now. Okay, I'll wait for you. I'm here now. Frank was about to say his address when he heard Tony's voice coming from the other side again. J.A.R.V.I.S. Locate Frank's location, let's go. Chapter 74. Considering that there were 3 other people, Frank quickly suggested to Tony that he should take the 3 of them with him. He thought that by the time the 4 people arrived, it would be the next day, but only half an hour passed. Frank looked at the 4 steel armors in front of him and felt a little dizzy. Will it take time for Tony to find the 3 of them? It will also take a lot of time to get from New York to London, right? It's only been half an hour. Already here? Crack. There was a sound of mechanical disintegration, revealing the 4 figures inside. Tony was very satisfied with Frank's expression and looked at him with a confused look on his face. How's it going? Is my new version of the armor fast? I have to say that magic still has many things to praise, such as reducing wind resistance. His armor, which was already capable of supersonic speeds, increased its speed by several levels again. Nearly 10 times the speed of sound, reaching a speed of 30,000 meters per second. Didn't he rush over so quickly just to see Frank's expression? It's perfect now. Click. Looking at the proud Tony, Frank blinked and punched the body of a newly recovered vampire. This time, Frank didn't hold back, and half of the vampire's body 713 turned into flesh. J.A.R.V.I.S. Sir, the armor's current defense cannot withstand that punch just now. Fer. Jarvis. Sometimes, certain words don't need to be said, I can see them. Okay, sir. J.A.R.V.I.S. replied without any fluctuation. This time, it was Frank's turn to show a satisfied smile. Tony decisively changed the topic. Okay, these are not important, let's talk about vampires and werewolves, shall we? As he spoke, he pointed at the tied people on the ground. Are they them? J.A.R.V.I.S. Scan their bodies and see how they are different from humans. After the words fell, a blue light was projected on the armor and fell on the vampires and werewolves. Sweeping it from head to toe, he said, Sir, the body structure is no different from that of humans, but it is much stronger than humans. If you want to understand their genes in depth, you need to find a professional laboratory. Tony nodded thoughtfully. According to legend, vampires and werewolves were transformed from humans. It seems to be true. At the moment, some vampires looked at Tony and made seductive words. You're New York's richest man, Tony Stark. Do you want to gain great power and live forever? As long as you help us deal with that guy, we are willing to grant you the ability to live forever. Tony Stark glanced at the vampire. I still like to be a human being. Stinky bats and big dogs are not worthy of my status as a playboy. We are the noble blood clan. We have the power of immortality. The vampire shouted, unlike those inferior werewolves, become one of us and you will be able to enjoy all the happiness in this world forever. Tony punched the talking vampire in the mouth, and the vampire took the opportunity to pierce Tony's skin with his fangs. Only a click was heard, and all the teeth in the vampire's mouth were shattered. Really smash your teeth and swallow it in your stomach. Tony wiped his fist in disgust, and seeing that there wasn't even a red spot on it, he couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction. As expected of his body, which has been strengthened many times, its original strength and defense are not weaker than those of a battle armor. He made a lot of obsolete armors and went to the disassembly shop to disassemble and strengthen his body. The Man of Steel has strengthened him to +5. You must know that not every combat aircraft will decompose the Man of Steel. Although the strength is not comparable to Frank, the defense is not weak, it is more or less planet level. The other vampires and werewolves were stunned when they saw this scene. What is going on? Why do these people have so much power? And isn't Tony Stark just an ordinary rich man? Their groggy brains didn't understand, and Frank and the others had no intention of explaining it to them. It can only be said that these two groups, who have been enemies for generations, are focused on fighting each other and have not paid attention to other things for a long time. On the other side, the female vampire who ran away, Serena, returned to the vampire castle. If Ron were here, maybe he would be somewhat familiar with this person and this place. Isn't this the same thing? He didn't understand it at the time, he just remembered it roughly. A man's genes had special abilities. Later, he had 3 children, one of whom was bitten by a bat and became a vampire. A man was bitten by a wolf, turned into a werewolf, and fell into madness. The last one lived a peaceful life and had offspring. Then the vampire clan and the werewolf clan became mortal enemies, and the battle lasted for centuries. And that man has been behind the scenes, protecting the two children's tribe and concealing their existence. A very simple story about genetic mutation. He is not as powerful as Dracula, the vampire count, who is said to have been transformed by the Dark Book into the ancestor of vampires. It's not as magical as the legendary vampire blood god. On the contrary, they only have a little vampire ability and are very weak. At the moment, Selena didn't know that all her companions had been captured, and she was the only one who escaped. After returning, he immediately found the vampire Khan, who was researching weapons. "We're in big trouble, the werewolves have made bullets that emit ultraviolet radiation." Khan looked at the bullet in surprise, made with sunlight. At this time, another vampire, Craven, came over. "It's hard for me to believe that dirty big dogs can make weapons specifically designed to restrain vampires." Serena interrupted him, "I don't care if they made it. I only know that there are companions fighting with them outside. We need to recruit all the Death Walkers, otherwise many of them will suffer losses if they are caught off guard." Craven refuted, "They still have their own tasks, and we can't call them all back just because of an accident." "Accidental incident?" Serena glared at Craven. "They are well prepared to ambush us. Moreover, I met two people, one of whom was so fast that he could block bullets for the others. Another person can hold the bullet in his hand just by stretching out his hand. I don't know where they came from, but they gave me an ominous premonition. London will no longer be peaceful in the future, and we need to gather the power of more companions." Craven ignored Serena's appeal, "Stop talking, the werewolves have been almost extinct by us, and there can no longer be large numbers. However, I am very interested in the two people you mentioned. Can they easily block bullets? If they can be transformed into Blood Clan, their strength will definitely become more powerful. Even he doesn't have the ability to hold a bullet with one hand. Only elders may be able to do it. If someone who is suspected to be comparable to the elder is controlled by him." Seeing Craven, who didn't believe her at all, Serena was helpless. "I believe what I saw. Even if you don't believe it, you should have someone investigate first." The Black Vampire Khan on the side said, "Serena, Craven is right. Centuries have passed, and there is almost no room for werewolves to survive in this world. Especially after Lucian's death, the number of werewolves has been greatly reduced." Serena had no choice but to give up and continue arguing with the two. He returned to his room, turned on his computer, and called up the surveillance video. The werewolves were very smart. Except for a few who fell into the surveillance range, everyone else avoided the surveillance cameras. But Frank and Frank were not there. She found the surveillance camera and found the faces and screenshots of Frank and Frank. And just when she was checking the surveillance, Frank, Tony, and others had arrived outside the castle. Vampires and werewolves are very tough-mouthed and do not reveal the location of their lair. But someone among the werewolves knew where the vampire's lair was, and they left a suit to guard Tang. Everyone rushed to the vampire's castle together. "This is it." Tony looked at the ancient castle, J.A.R.V.I.S, scan the magic thermal imaging. Magical thermal imaging scan, an enhanced version of the original. 0.8. Not only can you see how many people are inside and where they are, but you can also scan the person's appearance and surrounding environment. It can only be said that Wang's magic experience gave Tony a lot of inspiration. After the scan was completed, Tony knew everything about the castle. After telling Frank and others about the situation, he asked, "What should we do? Go up directly? Or bomb the castle first and then go up?" Frank, the master tactician, simply thought about it and arranged tactics for several people. For these laymen, he didn't expect the tactics to be well executed. "Anyway, don't run around. Just follow his instructions and guard all exits to prevent the vampires inside from escaping. As for those who go inside to carry out the eviction operation, Tony and Matt are the most suitable ones. Tony has J.A.R.V.I.S to help him scan at any time, and Matt has a humanoid radar. The two of them will never miss a vampire." Tony went in to do a fire coverage first, and Matt looked for any omissions. After the tactics were arranged, Frank and others took their places. Tony, who couldn't wait any longer, drove his armor directly through the outer wall of the castle and rushed in. J.A.R.V.I.S, while Matt is away, give these bats a sonic attack first. Chapter 75. Accompanied by the harsh ultrasound, all the vampires in the castle covered their ears and looked in pain. Except for a few who could still stand, most collapsed to the ground. Tony whistled with satisfaction when he saw his masterpiece. Yes, it seems that ultrasonic waves are more exciting to deal with smelly bats. J.A.R.V.I.S. How much energy does the suit have? J.A.R.V.I.S. 88% left, sir. Okay. Prepare to activate the sacred sword of Wetian Emperor and input 80% of the energy. I'm going to give these guys a hard blow. Okay, sir. Outside, in the field of vision of Frank and others, the vampire castle suddenly lit up with golden light. A golden sword tens of meters long thrust out from the castle wall. As more and more of the length of the sword was exposed, Tony Stark holding the hilt caught their eyes. Damn it! What kind of bullshit magic is this? Tony, when did he learn such a trick? Frank cursed in shock. The energy on the sacred sword made him feel a strong threat. He dared to swear on his grandson's leather swallow that this was definitely not an attack that Tony's armor could unleash. When Peter heard Frank's words, he suddenly remembered that when he met the Ancient One gave Tony a monk's robe. I remembered. The Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One gave Tony a robe called the King's Magician. Did he decompose the magic from it? With Peter's reminder, Frank obviously also remembered. Magic. I want it. A big business. As expected of the Federation, if you have money, NM will be popular. Tony held the sacred sword and walked around the castle clockwise. Then, like cutting a cake, a few knives were struck horizontally and vertically towards the castle. An ancient and luxurious castle, which could be called 29, was turned into ruins under the eyes of a few people. Finally, the sacred sword burst out its final light and struck down hard. With a sound of boom, the sacred sword burst into countless energy flames and disappeared from Tony's hand. Great! Tony yelled. The J.A.R.V.I.S mechanical voice sounded, Sir, the energy is less than 10%. Tony replied nonchalantly, It's okay, JARVIS open the portal. I want to get a miniature arc reactor from my studio. Matt, it's up to you. Frank said to Matt. Looking at Tony Stark falling in front of him, he reached out and took out an arc reactor from the portal that was emitting electric sparks. You actually learned this teleportation magic. Tony glanced at him and put on the arc reactor casually, I am Tony Stark, the top genius in the Federation. Frank frowned slightly and looked at him in confusion. Then why did you use the flying one when you brought them here? And when we were looking for the vampire lair, why didn't we just use the teleportation gate? This would save a lot of time. Blinking, Tony's eyes twitched slightly, I just learned this magic. With such a long distance, the positioning is inaccurate and it is easy for transmission errors. Will he say, did he forget? How is that possible? Tony Stark never admits his mistakes. I believe you. You just reached out to pick up the arc reactor, but you were very skillful. Besides, it's not like he doesn't know what it looks like when using the portal. It is completely possible to see from one side to the other, and there will be no transmission errors at all. But when he thought that Tony was their big financial backer, Frank was silent for a moment. Okay, so it turns out that I misunderstood you. Tony nodded, well, it doesn't matter. I've already memorized the map. When I go back, I can use the portal. Frank didn't reply, but looked intently at Matt, who was looking for vampires in the ruins of the castle. He was afraid that he couldn't help but beat up the financial owner, it would be so shameless. In the castle, where the elders sleep. Serena gritted her teeth and pushed open the boulder on top of the door. She was relieved when she saw that the inside was not too damaged due to the protection of the formation. She came to the top of the mechanism where the three elders were sleeping. At the moment, one of them was empty, and two of them had two mummies lying inside. She pulled out the dagger and slashed it on her wrist. The gurgling blood flowed down the mechanism and dripped onto the two mummies. What's going on? Why do you want to wake me up? Victor, who Serena chose to wake up first and also turned her into a vampire, woke up. Hearing Victor's voice, Serena's eyes filled with pain showed a hint of joy. Elder Victor, our castle has been attacked by the enemy, and your people need you. After hearing Serena's words, Victor walked out slowly. Behind him was a dense blood transfusion tube, with scarlet blood inside constantly flowing into his body, helping Victor quickly regain his strength. Victor, who had just woken up, slowly sat on the stone chair with a trace of confusion in his eyes. For a moment, his groggy brain did not realize that his home had collapsed, and he was still absorbing the memories passed down to him in Serena's blood. A large number of memories rushed in, making his already groggy brain even more chaotic. At this time, another elder Marcus, also the ancestor of this line of vampires, woke up. A pair of huge hairless flesh wings stretched out behind him, highlighting the difference between him and Victor. He is far more powerful than Victor and absorbs Serena's memory faster. Seeing Victor recovering next to him, he was not surprised at all. Turning to look at Serena, "Do you know who the enemy is? Why did they attack our castle?" He is extremely angry now. In this era, too many people have forgotten how powerful and noble the Blood Clan is. The emergence of thermal weapons has given more and more people the courage to challenge the Blood Clan. He dared to knock on the door today, he must let these guys get the lesson they deserve. Serena paused and said, "Elder Marcus, I don't know who the enemy is." In the memory she transmitted, there was a description of the suspect, but she was not sure who could be so powerful. At the moment, Victor finally absorbed all the memories, and with a little force, the blood vessels behind Marcus and Marcus were pulled out. At the moment, the two of them no longer looked like mummies before, and completely restored their original appearance. Marcus flapped his wings. No matter who it is, they must be prepared to bear the wrath of the Blood Clan. As soon as he finished speaking, a cutting sound was heard. Then there was a sound of boom, and their eyes lit up, and they saw that the roof of the secret room where they were was disappeared. At the same time, a frivolous voice came, "Matt's ability is very useful. I will put one on my armor when I get back." A golden and red battle armor appeared in front of them. "Yo! There is also a little beauty? Who said you want me to feel the anger just now? Come on, stinky bat, release your anger to me." The gift crab. There is even one with wings. It's so ugly. Beauty always attracts Tony Stark's attention more than anything else, even if the area of Marcus's big fleshy wings is equivalent to 2 Serenas. Outside, after breaking the spines of all the vampires, Frank met Tony and Matt and found the last vampire in the castle. Turning to Peter, he ordered, "Little Spider-Man, tie them up and don't let them escape." Seeing that Peter was about to speak, Frank jumped onto the ruins decisively. He didn't want to hear Peter talk, that little guy wouldn't stop talking. This is also the reason why he dislikes Matt the Great Mother so much and even forms a team with Matt. The 4 people are divided into 2 teams, and there must always be a perception-type transcendent. In comparison, he could completely turn a blind eye to Matt's Madonna behavior. However, Peter's buzzing voice kept getting into his head. It's better to leave this kind of thing to Luke Cage. After all, Luke Cage's brain can't even react to what Peter said. Who said we should feel the anger? After Frank jumped onto the ruins, he saw Marcus at a glance. Those big fleshy wings are so conspicuous. However, that disgusting thing reminded him of hatred at a glance. There were options for this thing, and he really didn't want to touch it with his hands. "Jessica, the female vampire belongs to you, the old vampire belongs to me, and the one with wings is yours." "Okay, Frank." Jessica flew down first and held Serena down. Serena, who was already injured, could not resist at all, and was directly restrained with her hands. The severe pain in her ribs that had been broken by the collapse of the castle made her unable to help but open her mouth. Tony couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw this scene. He was indeed a vampire, so beautiful. When he opened his mouth, his whole body couldn't help but move, especially little Tony. "Jessica, I should definitely be gentle with beautiful women, okay? Just pretend I didn't say you are more beautiful than her, you can do whatever you want." Halfway through, Jessica glared at him fiercely. Tony stopped immediately, not because he was afraid of Jessica, but when he checked the surveillance camera, he found Jessica holding a small black lace panty and running to the scene of the decomposition. When she came out again, the little black lace underwear was gone. You can imagine where she went. At this time, Frank, fearing that he would be robbed of his opponent, rushed after him. He aimed an iron fist at Victor, and knocked out half of Victor's teeth with his left hand. Then, his right hand turned into a knife and slashed across Victor's chest, directly cutting off Victor's ribs and exposing the beating heart inside. All this happened in the blink of an eye. When no one was paying attention, some of the blood that splashed across her chest splashed on Serena's face and flowed into her mouth. As the blood entered her mouth, her eyes suddenly fell into confusion, and chaos appeared deep in her eyes. Victor's huge memory had a great impact on her. On the other side, Tony and Luke Cage grabbed one of Marcus' wings and tore it off. How cruel! Tony said while holding back his nausea. Just now, if Luke Cage hadn't grabbed the wing first and shouted, let him organize Marcus to take off. Then he subconsciously grabbed the other one without knowing why. In the end, there was such a scene that made him almost spit out all the food he had eaten. With the 3 people captured, there was no longer a living vampire under the ruins of the castle. They were all outside, hung from a tree by Peter using a cobweb. Peter looked at the people who came back and scratched his head. He felt that he had done nothing and was not as effective as cobweb. He looked at Frank and the others and pointed at the hanging vampire, speaking of which, how do we get them back? Frank turned to look at Tony, who shrugged, okay, I get it. With a swipe of his hand, the portal appeared. Directly on the other side was the beach outside Tony's villa. Looking at the vampires being thrown over one by one, Frank grinned widely. Isn't there a source for this equipment? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.